Hello, everybody, and welcome to unMadeGaming. We are here on this Friday stream, a special Friday stream with some more Symbaroum. If you guys have been around for a while, you know that I ran a little bit of a mini campaign on Symbaroum, and you guys seem to like it. And since they are rocking an amazing Kickstarter right now for their third or fourth book, I think, Yndaros, the Darkest Star, and that is overwhelmingly successful, we're going to promote that Kickstarter here. We're going to talk about the game, and we're going to roll some dice and play some Symbaroum. So here with me today is a channel favorite, Greg. Who are you? Where can we find you? And who are you playing today?
Greg, Grimjack21502 on the Twitches and the Twitters. Today I will be playing Walder, and I'm hoping that after these test rolls are over, Walder is loose and ready to rock, because so far it's not looking good, folks. But this is my first time playing Symbaroum. I cannot wait to play. I know the least among these luminaries you see in front of you, but with Prios's luck, I'll die last. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway,
that's the hope, really, and you die last. Let's jump over to the creator of the game here, Mathias. Who are you? Where can we find you on the internet? And tell us about Symbaroum.
I am one of the co-creators of the game, or co-founders of the Team Järnringen, who publishes the game. You can find us currently on Kickstarter, which is the absolutely best way to find us today, because we are very active in the chat and try to answer all your questions as fast as you can. Other than that, today I am playing Uts, and it's very important you pronounce it like that, Uts. He will probably not say much, but when he does, you should listen, because he's a giant of a man, like 7.5 feet tall, and with the temperament to back it up, I don't know. Yeah. But with the temperament that goes well with his size.
So not because it's important that he's talking or that he's saying something insightful, just because he's a big, terrifying man, you should listen to him. That makes sense. I'd listen to him as well. With that, we'll jump over to Isak. Who are you? Where can we find you on the internet? And who are you playing today?
Right. I run the Symbaroum fan blog Ordo Magica, where I post house rules and my thoughts on the game. I also hang out in most Symbaroum communities on Reddit. I post as Polynola, and in the Symbaroum Discord, the Davokar Explorers League, I'm Lord Saras. And today I'm playing Arno, a disgraced former scout of the Queen's Rangers, now drafted into the Queen's Watch.
Fantastic. And before we toss things over to the GM here, I am playing Mathias. I'm playing the actual creator of the game, who is also a member of the Queen's Guard, and he thinks he's the leader for some reason, despite me not wanting to be that. That's who I'm playing today, so we'll see how that goes, and I hope I at least roll better than Greg. So last but not least, we'll jump over to Paul. Paul, who are you? Where can we find you? And tell us about this one-shot you've made for us.
Okay, so where can you find me? Well, theironpact.com is a blog I've been running for over 2 years about Symbaroum, which has got articles and adventures and new mechanics and all sorts of ideas about this world that has so engaged me over that period of time. I've also I can be found elsewhere, but the Iron Pack's probably the place to find me. I'm also half of a company called All Rolled Up that makes some rather nice Symbaroum-related licensed merchandise, like something similar to the map but smaller, that's behind Mathias at the moment, I've now forgotten the other questions that you asked me, which is
tell us about this one shot you have for us.
The one shot. Yes, I have noticed that somebody's already posted about the fact that whether this is a Järnringen adventure or not. It is not. It's one of the adventures that I have run before quite regularly to introduce people to the game. It's appropriately grim to get the theme of Symbaroum across, at least that the theme that I like to shout out. Yes, so that's what we'll be going with. It's called Camp Titan.
Perfect. So guys, go check out in chat. There's a link to the Kickstarter that's currently going on right now. Go check out that Kickstarter. It is for the capital of Ambria. A whole bunch of new stuff. They just had a successful Kickstarter for their Monster Codex and a whole bunch of other cool things. We'll be having more of this on the channel soon. So keep your eyes peeled for that. And with that, Shilling, Paul, take us away into your one shot.
Okay, so as has briefly been mentioned by a couple of people as they've introduced the characters, and I think I will ask for any more information in a moment. You, the land of Ambria is a land which is effectively stretched for resources, and Queen Corinthia is keen, or at least her bureaucrats are keen to ensure that every resource is used that can be used, which is why, for example, there are barbarian and goblin slaves. There are people who effectively would be otherwise maybe executed as criminals, have found use as effective labor. And in your case, as members of the Queen's Watch, you are soldiers who have at one time recently committed an act which has effectively had you court-martialed. And rather than putting you in a cell or something worse, you have been inducted into the Queen's Watch, which effectively deals with all the scummy jobs that nobody else wants. You are the bottom of the barrel when it comes down to the Queen's soldiery. And as we start, effectively, you have been together for some time, and you have been placed on a patrol which takes you along the southernmost edge of Ambria in the shadow of the Titan Mountains that divide Ambria from the effectively the old world of Alberator, which was once home to Queen Corinthia's people, but has now largely been left behind. As the people have steadily traveled north. So I don't know whether there is anything else you feel you want to say about your characters and their relationship together.
Paul, did you want us to go around and say exactly what got us into this predicament?
Yeah,
or...
yeah. I think that would be ideal to give a view of why you've ended up here. Absolutely.
Okay, well, for my character, Walder, in addition to not being able to be an effective soldier because he can't hit anything, he also apparently used some type of showmanship to scare off some bandits that were threatening some civilians. But in doing so, he he broke an order from his commanding officer. Even though he did the right thing, he broke the orders of his commanding officer, and he has ended up here in the Queen's Watch. So his intentions are pure. His aim is off. We'll see how it goes.
Good.
So similar issue with his commanding officer, Mathias, comes from not high noble birth, but of some repute, and unable to live up to his father's standards and wanting to set his own course in life, ran away from home and joined up with the Queen's Watch. But he doesn't take his father's orders well, and apparently he doesn't take his commanding officer's orders well, and he socked him in the mouth. And it turns out that punching a commanding officer in the face, not great choices. So here he is with this ragtag group of people trekking through the mountains.
Okay.
All right. Arno was attracted to the mysteries of the great forest of Davokar and joined up with the Queen's Rangers, and ended up learning a lot of mysteries of the strange arts of the witches. And in a moment when he had to make a choice between the wild and his fellow rangers, he hesitated, and one of his squad mates died as a result of his failure to act in the service of the realm. As a result, he was dragged in cuffs and sent to work in the watch.
Okay.
Yeah, finally, Utz. He talks a lot, but he doesn't communicate a lot. The first meaning that he often talks to himself in a low key, mumbles. But you don't know much about him. You know that he's been a miner for a great part of his life. You also know that something happened in his village, in his home village, that made the Sun Church, the Black Cloaks, come and effectively burn the whole village to the ground, claiming that it was somehow tainted. And it doesn't, from what you have learned about Utz, he doesn't seem to hold grudges, not in the long term. He strives very hard to be kind to everyone, and maybe this is because something you learned before you went out on this patrol in the camp is that he hasn't spoken about it himself, but he's supposed to have attacked an officer of the guard previously, once precisely after he was drafted, and probably that's why he's been sent along with you losers. You fine gentlemen on this patrol along the southern border, in this robber and monster infested part of the realm. He has a temper, so even if you don't hold a grudge for over a long time, he can quickly become very, very angry, and you've seen this on a couple of occasions. Luckily, the refugees that has stirred his emotions have been able to control himself pretty good, at least since you left the big camp. But you feel it's more or less a question of time before something sets him over the line.
Okay. Sounds like you're living the part already. As I said, you as members of the Queen's Watch, you have been sent on this patrol, and it's late in the year. Summer is well past. Autumn has just begun. So the weather has turned, and the weather has turned early. There are few constants, it feels, in Ambria. Everything seems to constantly be changing. One of those constants, perhaps, is the Titan Mountains. At the southernmost edge of the domain, they are a reminder of what has been left behind, and at the same time, for those who have crossed the Titans, they have given a sense of the opportunities that are yet to come in Ambria. And there are many, even now, 20 years after the end of the Great War against the Dark Lords, there are people still trickling over over the mountains from Alberator. So as the Queen's Watch, you are required to walk this line north of the Titans as much to carry out a basic understanding of the situation, as many of the people who travel over the Titans are find their way into refugee camps. There's only there's a huge potential here, and there's a great deal of land, but for some, that trip over the mountains is almost too much, and they end up in these camps and almost don't know how to move on and to start a new life. At the same time, as Queen's Watch, you're very aware that these camps also become a nesting grounds for unsavory types, those who aren't moving any further north because they know that fundamentally they will only end up in the hands of the authorities. If they do so, they will lose their what little freedom they have. Those who have been criminals, those who follow questionable beliefs or have an approach which ultimately would not mix well with the new society of within Ambria. So the last settlement that you were in, it seems like an age ago. You have been traveling along the edge of the mountains towards where the mountain passes, the very road that comes up from Alberator. Right now, it is raining. The trail that runs along the north of the mountains is well worn, as a result of which it is puddled and riddled with ooze and mud. You can see for miles around, or you would be able to, if not for the sort of greyness that hangs around you. You can see a sort of dull silhouette of the Titans. Occasionally, you can catch sight of patches of forest to the north, and it almost seems like the last time you had a good meal and a warm bed. It feels like an age ago. In fact, it was probably only 3 or 4 days ago when you stayed in the settlement of Lac, where you had the opportunity to share a hot meal and food at the tail end of the harvest festivities that have been taking place in celebration of the, well, some would say the bounteous harvest that Prios has gifted to his people, but you perhaps would need to convince yourself that it's a true bounty. So you're walking along this road. You know that Camp Titan is not far ahead now, and maybe this is another chance for a respite from the rain. And the trail ahead is meandering down towards a patch of forested area north of the Titans.
Now, Paul, we're walking this as like a border patrol and to also safeguard people at a crossing, correct?
Absolutely, yeah.
And when was the last time, if ever, we saw anything happen?
It was the last time you saw or spoke to anybody was at Lac, which was 3 days ago.
Okay, so this is just the most boring assignment ever. Not only is it shitty and we're outside and haven't had food, there's no action. This was a lie. My recruiter lied to me. So yeah,
Question,
I think. Go ahead.
Do we have a mandate to also stop people or to detain people and refer them to camps?
Yes. If you found yourself in a situation where you found stray refugee travelers who have are on the road and effectively have lost their way, you would be in a position to take them to the next camp. Yeah,
because basically they are intruders, right?
Until they've been through the process of effectively registering at the Prios crossing, then they really haven't entered Ambria proper in a sort of legal sense.
Okay, so I think with Mathias having come here through a sense of duty and a sense to prove his worth to Ambria as a whole and make his mark, this sucks. This sucks more than normal because it's not only not a place where he can gain fame and not a place where his name gets notice. So he's just trudging, like begrudgingly trudging through this thing. Knowing that they're not going to encounter anything until they get to the camp, knowing that the likelihood of anything attacking them other than the rain itself and the likelihood of seeing anyone is slim to none. He just sort of trudges, probably in the middle of the pack, head down, collar turned up against the rain, hood drawn, just grumbling under his breath and whining. Sounds like it.
Arno would be trying really hard to embody someone who would enjoy this weather, as it's an expression of the elements, and he's picked up some strands of growth and some thorns and vines, and he's sort of walking around making little charms of them, and trying to whistle to sort of make a show of keeping his spirits up and sort of owning this experience.
Yeah.
But he's miserable. He's soaked all the way through. His cloak is not waterproof, and the mud is in his boots.
Walder would probably be the exact opposite of everybody else, because this is his chance to do what's right, prove himself to be capable, prove himself that his actions before in saving the villagers from the bandits was an act of honor instead of one of a betrayal of a commanding officer. So whereas the others are trudging through the mud in a very realistic interpretation of the events, he is ahead by about 25 or 50 yards, constantly looking south towards the Titans to see if he can see anybody, fulfilling every second to the mandate that they were given to look for potential refugees. And to the point where he would get so far ahead, he would have to wait as the rest of his fellows trudged up. And then he would take forward again and scout and look around and just do his best to fulfill fully what is expected of him now.
At least on the surface, Utz is a really simple human being, although a gigantic one. He seems quite content he seems quite content as long as you're not in a settlement. Between settlements, he walks often. He takes up the rear. Because that way he can see you. And you don't look at him, so he can walk along at his own pace, just following up at the end, and maybe kind of probably aiming to be some sort of guardian saint for you all, proving himself to be the gentle giant rather than the berserker that some people would have him to be. When you're in settlements, he becomes more anxious probably because you meet new people, and new people may prove to be obnoxious or act in a way that angers him, and he doesn't like that because, well, you know what can happen, at least according to the stories, and it's probably the case that he doesn't want to end up in those kinds of situations. So, but this period of time when you are walking, he doesn't make much of a sound. He just trods along, hoping to help whenever he can.
All I can picture is Utz trying to be the friendly giant, but every time he just appears silently behind a conversation and looks terrifyingly down at you, and you're like, oh shit!
People jump. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, he just exists behind you. You're like, oh, you're a terrifying monster. Okay, that's fine. Yeah. We're fine.
Arno will often fall behind the pace of the group and sort of stop to look at some flowers, so check the growth of the area, and then Utz will come up behind him and sort of remind him that we're supposed to be going somewhere.
Okay, so Walder, as you seem full of energy, keen to press ahead, I'm going to ask you to make a standard vigilant test. So no modifier, just your standard vigilant.
I'm here to help everybody.
Excellent. Well done. Yeah. So nothing then. So in that case, it will be Mathias, I think, and Utz. If you can make vigilant rolls, as clearly Walder is
incapable,
looking elsewhere.
We can.
I also cannot. My hood is up. It is drenched in rain, and I am looking down at my feet so I don't stumble.
Oh! Wait. When
Have I rolled?
fail, it's because I'm bad.
Terrible.
When you fail, even worse than I fail.
Oh yeah,
because you're just forlorn.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Come on, Greg.
Okay. I'm trying to roll here, but Not. There we go. Yeah.
It's because he exists above the rain.
Sees it all.
So to be clear, Matthias has fallen over. You are now muddy, drenched. You were soaking before. You are now face down in the oozing mud of the trail. And yeah, you can now consider. Basically, your clothes are about twice the weight that they were a moment ago as a result of that.
Yeah.
Utz, you. As I said, you are heading down this trail, and ahead there is a sort of copse, a loose gathering of trees, and you see black birds rising up from the trees in a squawking mass. All the birds just fly up at once, as if disturbed from their sitting amongst the trees, and they just rise up into the air. And apparently, you're the only person who notices.
Could they have been disturbed by us?
You are a little bit too far away, and you've not been making any noise. Even the overly energetic Walder has far ahead as he is not close enough really to have disturbed anything in the trees.
So Utz goes.
I'm helping Sarge Matthias.
And then I speed up a little bit, trying to catch up with you guys. Obviously, heading for. It seems that Utz has accepted you, Matthias, as the leader.
I don't know how. I'm covered in shit.
Yeah.
So you would just see Matthias is just like slapping mud off himself. God damn, rocks and roots everywhere. This is the worst. How did I even get here? What do we? What is it, Utz? And he looks up at you.
You're really dirty. You are. Come up. I'm trying. I'll help him up. I give you a hand.
Pick him up.
Drag you to your feet.
Like a child.
Guys, come here. Come here.
Thank you.
See over there? I guess the birds have flown away already.
You can still see the scattered. They clearly were a flock of birds.
Yeah.
So they are sticking together in a sort of pattern, a loose
see
bunch.
The birds circling.
Well, that's good. I won't be covered in bird shit.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure something stirred them to leave the tree over there.
Yeah, as someone who's spent time in the Queen's Rangers, I think I would have some idea of what startled birds might indicate. I think that would set me on edge.
But you didn't see them.
Well, if you're pointing them out to us.
Are you claiming that it was you who detected this threat to the realm? Or was it me, in fact?
No, it was you.
Yeah, it was me. It was me. I'm just trying to help here.
Yes.
Don't attack me. Don't attack me, man.
Yes, of course.
I'm trying to help you here. I'm trying to help us.
All right. Everyone relax. I'm not getting any drier.
Should we do something about this threat?
Probably. What do you think? Is it a bear, wolf, something? It can't be anything major. We haven't seen anything in days or weeks. What's your best guess?
Walder would jog up.
Walder, you saw the birds, right? You saw the birds. Yeah, you must have seen the birds. What did startle them? Was it a bear?
I didn't see that.
Was it you? Was it you?
No, I was too quiet. But
It's too quiet to see.
I definitely saw them though. Yep, there they are. See, catches them as they trail off.
Should we
go take a look, or
should we go take a look?
Yeah, I think so.
Let's go.
All of us? Okay.
Puts his hood up after wringing it out. Yeah, I think all of us. Best case scenario, it's a person. We bring them back to Titan with us. Worst case, it's nothing, and we've just wasted time. And he begins to trudge along towards this direction.
falling behind.
Yeah. So based on that scenario, what is your line of approach then?
I think Arno will take point. He'll feel that it's as a ranger, he will. It's something he's been drilled to do. So he will take point and try to get a sense of what startled these animals.
Matthias lets him.
Okay.
Walder will stay uncomfortably close to Arno, as if making his movements, trying to learn from him, but in no way, shape, or form as experienced or as adept at what he's doing.
As noted by the dice.
Okay.
So I'm behind them all with my big hammer at the ready, bringing up the rear.
Okay, so if you've got Walder and Arno effectively almost hand in hand going here, I need a discrete. Now it's a discrete test. It would appear that Arno, you have the weakest discrete of the two of you, and it's at a -3.
Ooh, there we go.
Okay, so you've taken point. You moved ahead. You've got Walder, hanging unbearably close, sort of hot breath down the back of your neck. And as you cut into the trees ahead of everyone else, you can hear conversation. You can hear raised voices. A lot of it sounds like cursing.
Okay.
And you can also you can hear sort of whimpering.
Okay. I'll motion for Walder to stop, and I'll try to get a sense of. Do I get a sense of how far away this is?
So it is maybe 100 meters ahead from where you're stood.
Okay.
The trees are relatively close. There's a lot of there's undergrowth here. You judge that you could get close to the source of the sound and potentially stay hidden.
Yeah. I'll try to sneak up a little bit.
And you've told Walder to stay back.
Yes. Walder, stay here. If the others catch up, tell them to stop, and I'll get a look at these fellows up ahead.
So you creep ahead through the undergrowth, keeping close to the trees until you can see the path widens ever so slightly, and you can see 4 men stood around a single man on the ground. The 4 men are dressed in pretty rough-looking gear. Looks like a mishmash of bits like jerkins or vests with bits of metal sewn in. One of the men looks like he might actually have a barbarian heritage. The others look like they're probably Ambrians. And the figure on the ground is hunched over, and they are basically just raining blows down, cursing, and amongst the curses, it's you hear, "Damn it! If you don't have any money, what use are you to us? What have you got to give us?"
Okay, so how far ahead am I from the rest of the group?
So if you had Walder stay behind, he's 100 yards behind you, and you've asked him for the others to wait.
Yeah, all right. I'll head back towards them and get it to a visual range where I can gesture for them to approach.
Okay. So you get back to them, and
Yeah, I think by this time Matthias has come up to where Walder is, and he stands by him and says, "Hey, what is it?"
It's a bunch of robbers attacking a man.
We have to help him.
Let's go.
Yeah, makes sense. It's,
The man? Who was the man? On the ground?
I don't know. Yes. This
Was
a
he
man.
a robber too?
I don't know. Let's find out.
it's better than
If you say so.
standing around here.
Arno reaches into his bag and he pulls out a bundle of sharpened sticks, and he sets off towards the scene.
Matthias looks at the sharpened sticks and shakes his head and throws his pack down and pulls out his sword and sort of begins to shamble back towards him.
Yeah, Walder pulls out a sword and a dagger and looks to Matthias and the others for direction.
He looks to Walder and he says, I guess he looks to Arno because he was up there. Before we go, how many?
There were 5, right?
yeah,
There's 5 robbers. One looked barbarian, the other ones looked Ambrian, and there's one victim.
Guys, Utz has interpreted the situation as we are in agreement that we will confront these guys. So he has started walking, and he isn't sneaking because he cannot sneak.
Yeah.
So he's already walking towards the alleged robbers.
Walder is sitting there as Matthias and Arno are talking, and he just watches Utz walk past this huge guy going through, and he just breaks and starts running along kind of parallel to Utz. He likes the idea of a charge, even the slow one.
Shit.
Come
Fine.
on.
Okay, we're just gonna
Come
run.
on,
That's what
Sarge.
we're doing. Sure. Okay.
Arno
Yeah.
goes as well.
Mhm. No tactical sense at all. That's fine. No. And he grumbles and follows behind them.
okay.
Uh,
So when you reach the group, you see exactly what Arno communicated. There are 4 bandits with a leader who, as Arno said, looks barbarian in heritage, and the four bandits are basically raining blows down on this guy. You can see there is blood in the rain on the ground, and as you get close enough to almost touch them, the guy rolls over on his side. You can see his flesh is thick with cuts and bruises. One of them's just hit him so hard that one of his eyes is basically almost popped out of the socket, and he is just whining and weeping in pain.
I stop about 10 meters away, raising my voice. What is going on here?
So the barbarian turns his head, looking away from. It almost looks like he's entertained by what he's seeing, and he squints into the undergrowth. Fresh game. And he reaches round and hefts an axe from his back.
I'm trying to hold him by holding up my gigantic hammer. Hammer, right?
Yeah,
I have a rock hammer.
Very
I have a
big
rock hammer.
stone hammer.
I'm holding it up towards him. Just wait a minute. Matthias? You have to introduce these guys. Come here.
He hurries up besides
No violence until I say so.
He looks up at Utz. Great job.
Now that we have a distraction, Arno is starting to go around. Get
Okay.
a position.
Matthias looks out at these guys and addresses the barbarian, and he says, "By order of the Queen's Guard, banditry is outlawed in these lands. Explain yourself. Who is this man?"
Outlawed. Outlawed by who? Really, you are.
No, really, the Queen's Guard, as I said. Who are you?
Really. He grips the axe in one hand, and he's now pulling a sword from his belt, and he is stepping towards you.
You realize that the only thing he likes more than pleasant conversation is crushing heads, right?
Okay.
Leave the dead man, boys. Come on, we've got fresh meat. Come on. And the guys who are beating the man up turn, look in the direction of their leader's new amusement, and they too now draw their weapons.
Matthias looks around at Utz and Walder and he says, "Well, it's less work to bury corpses than it is to bring men to justice in the towns. So, have at it, boys." And he brandishes his short sword.
Walder lifts his dagger and sword and says, "For the Queen's watch!" And he charges.
Every time.
So
Utz shakes his head in disbelief of the fact that people are this stupid. And then he slowly walks to meet them.
All right. Arno is sort of hunkered down behind a tree, just at the edge of this starting confrontation, and he's sort of putting his bundle of sticks to his face, and he's sort of whistling into the little nest of sharpened twigs.
Okay. So I was going to say, because you've sort of used the distraction of the discussion between Utz and the leader of the bandits, effectively, you had the opportunity to take a sort of free action before we launch into things. So you're preparing your missiles.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm going to cast the Storm Arrow.
Okay.
So that's a resolute test.
Yep.
No.
Oh
well. So I take some corruption. I take no corruption because I have a fancy ward.
Yes, you have a little defense against minor corruption.
Yeah. I get really frustrated because nothing's happening, and my charm is just vibrating against my skin. It's just
no one is. Yeah, I thought it was on mute. No one is even caring about your hocus pocus. We advance with real weapons. Okay.
Okay.
So who's first?
So who's the barbarian leader is first. And I have no hesitation in saying that he's attacking Utz. Of course.
Good for him.
That would be a defense roll.
Yeah.
-5.
So where do we? Here. Okay. -5. -5. Oh man. I'm trying to get the hang of this.
And you'll be wanting to make 2 of these defense rolls.
Oh wow!
Look at him go. Yeah, I knew it. I'm the hero.
It's rigged. He created the game. It's completely rigged, guys. It's all lies.
So he critically missed, meaning what? I get a free attack?
Yes.
I'm just guessing here.
As I flick through the rule book.
Okay.
Seriously, with all the Walder's rolls up to now, I was not expecting anybody to get any criticals of any kind. So yeah, you get a free attack against the enemy.
Oh yeah.
And despite the fact he has twin attack, because you rolled a 1, that's your full-on defense against his flurry of attacks against you, and you have a free attack against him instead.
Okay, as a reaction now, right away.
Yeah.
Right. His defense is
0.
So I need to roll. Yeah. Okay, Okay, tell me how I do damage.
No,
much
it's included in
No,
the roll.
you've done
included.
damage. You've done
Damage 14. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Do you even need us here? You want to just run the rest of the one shot
Yeah,
yourself?
I think you're both.
Goodbye, Utz.
You're cute and entertaining, so please stay.
So what flavor of jam have you turned this man into?
No, I just. I guess I wedged my hammerhead into his skull. Yeah. And trying to jerk it free. A little bit disgusted by what I've done, and also a little bit proud.
I like that. I like that.
A little bit happy.
My intimidation method was, the only thing he likes more than pleasant conversation is crushing heads, and then he crushes the guy's head to pieces. I was like, oh, shit. I wasn't serious, but
I
great
didn't
job.
mean to hit him that hard. I really didn't.
That's fine. I think if we hit him all that hard, we'll be golden. And Matthias advances towards the next. Actually, he steps out after. I assume this guy's a corpse now, a bloody pulp.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He steps out beyond Utz and beyond this guy, and he says, "Okay, well, you can put your weapons down now, or." Any motions towards what's left of the guy's head.
Okay.
I'm
So
still trying to jerk the hammer out of it.
yeah, it's not coming free of what's left of the man's skull. So Walder is the only person who can act before the other bandits. However, yeah, I'll take into account what you said as well, Matthias, as Utz has jammed this man's head into his torso with this hammer. So Walder, do you want to do anything after this display?
Walder is just staring at what Utz just did in absolute. He's just salivating. This is exactly the type of stuff that he wishes he could do. He loved it. He just took that guy out with one shot. It's absolutely fantastic. And as soon as his commanding officer, as soon as Matthias would, offer a bit of a parlay, can I use my action as being able to go first to aid Matthias by using commanding voice to give him a +1 to whatever persuasion he needs to maybe calm the situation a bit?
Yeah. No, that's not a problem. That's absolutely perfect. So yeah, Matthias, you're making a persuasive, and effectively you're making a persuasive test at +5, including the bonus that you just got from Walder. I'm sure you can still.
I succeed.
Oh, thank heavens for that.
The bonus helped. I would have failed, despite having
Yeah,
a 15 in persuasive. I still almost ate shit.
So these bandits are very clearly torn between flight and just dropping to their knees and begging for their existence. There's every possibility that they're not running because the muscles in their legs have completely shut down, while all the muscular control is being used to try and retain the contents of their bladders, because they're disgusted by what they've just seen. Utz, I hope you're pleased with yourself. But yeah, I mean, two of them basically drop to their knees and start openly weeping. And the other two are looking bemused, scared, and yeah, they clearly don't know what to do.
Matthias kind of steps up to them, and he quickly looks at the man on the ground, who's, I assume, unconscious, the one who was being robbed. And he turns to the two that are not groveling and crying, and he says, and then, as I was saying, banditry is outlawed in the Queen's Mountain by the Queen's Guard. Come with
Matthias, you're interrupted by a tap on the shoulder.
And I am startled, as always, as I look to the... Utz. Yes.
he sort of just looks at you as for some kind of reaction or confirmation of it looks like he's not sure if he did something good or something really bad, and I guess he wants you to tell him.
He kind of like pats your hand on his shoulder. He says, "No, great job, Woods. You got the leader, and if the rest of these 4 act out of line, we can follow suit until they start to behave."
No. You should take it easy. They are crying.
Oh, no, I know. I agree.
Yeah.
But if they act out of line, feel free. And he like taps himself on the head. Says, as I was saying, explain yourself. Who are you? Why are you here? Who is this man? And he's demanding answers from these bandits.
Okay, so one of the bandits looks towards the other, and then looks back at you. I am Jan. We're just travelers, just travelers, not bandits.
Did they have packs on them?
No. No, they're pretty light on gear. You suspect that if they have possessions, that they are elsewhere, and they are carrying, just all they need to deliver a sound beating to a traveler on the road, and little more than that.
Walder will creep up, and as he creeps up, he says, "You're not carrying anything to travel." And he kind of saddles up beside Utz, and under his breath, he whispers up and goes, "That was fantastic."
Mathias looks over their shoulder and nods towards Arno and says, "My friend over there is a very powerful sorcerer, and he tells me that you're bandits. So I'm inclined to believe him."
Jan looks down at his until very recently leader, looks at his friend, and then, "Okay, we're bandits. What? Just don't let him hurt us, please."
How do you feel in general about the Queen's Guard?
And that's what you are.
That's correct.
Him as well.
That's correct.
Mm-hmm.
What are you suggesting?
Just a simple question. What do you think about them? Great, good, the best?
How would you rate this experience?
Yeah.
Great.
Good.
Great. Yeah.
That's a good answer. Well, recruits, this way, we're actually headed to Camp Titan, where you will be assigned a new duty station.
Okay.
Okay, good. This worked great. Now I have 4 more people to...
Yeah. While this is going on, Arno is going to go up to the beaten man and see if there's anything that can be done.
Okay. So, Arno, you find that as Mathias guessed, he's unconscious. He is badly beaten, cut, bruised. As I said, one of his eyes is almost popped out of his skull, and he's just covered with blood. The rain beating down on him is washing some of that away, but looking at him close, you can see there, as the blood washes away, you can see a tracery of the veins through his paper thin skin. He looks sort of malnourished at best, and the veins are very dark, sort of black dark.
That makes me suspicious. Yeah, I'm gonna turn to Mathias and say, "Sarge, this man is looking very. He's seen better days. We should get him to a medic as soon as possible."
Do I know how far we are from Camp Titan, or a rough estimate?
You could get there within the hour.
Oh,
think.
okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, he looks over to Arno and says, "Is there anything we could do for him right now? We could get to camp shortly if he can make it."
I could attempt a medicus, Sarge.
Yeah. Walder, can you help this man?
Yeah.
I sure can.
Wait, Walder. I've been thinking.
Oh, no.
Shit.
Yes and no. Now, go ahead. Tend to him.
Great insight, Utz. I appreciate your counsel.
Okay. And he runs over and I think I have to make a cunning roll.
It would be
I'm
a
sure this
cunning.
goes swimmingly.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. Yeah.
Hey, what do you know? This guy's almost dead, Sarge. I don't...
Just bleed him a little. It'll get better.
Greg,
Everybody
this
take
is
a
why,
knee. This guy's going down.
This is why you GM, Greg, so you don't have to roll.
Right?
Yeah. So you ineffectually sort of inspect the wounds and haphazardly maybe apply, some bandages or something. But the man has not benefited from your skills at all in any way.
The bandages are on bloody
He's-
spots, but not where the blood is.
Yeah, he's wrapping him up and looking over and kind of giving a thumbs up to everybody else. But when he turns back around, he's whispering, "I have no idea what I'm doing. Oh my god!"
And Arno just goes,
No one has an herbal cure.
No.
no.
No one.
Nope.
None of us. Okay.
I'm going to keep a lookout for any useful herbs
Yeah.
on the way
I think
back.
you should.
But I don't know how to use them. I just know what they look like.
Yeah, so I'm gonna look around. So you were Arno, you were a ranger, right? So you know something about the woods, I would assume. He kind of looks and he nods at Walder. Great job. And he looks over to Arno and he says, "Can we make a litter? Is there enough branches? We have to have something that we can carry this guy."
Oh yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah, so it's
We have them.
yes. Oh no, they're going to carry him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we
but we're gonna
them
put him on something.
Yeah. Recruit.
But yeah, I think with my green thumb, I can find some useful branches and wood.
Yeah.
We hope
you
so.
can, you can find the sort of the most supple of wood from amongst the forest to effectively find strong supporting sticks and then create a sort of lattice of material between to carry him on.
Much to your surprise, Utz tries to help, and he actually manages to. And he mumbles something about once being a blacksmith in the old village when the old one died in a stone slide. So he's not very used to working with wood apparently, but he's quite handy. So
Thank you, Utz. Good job.
you're welcome.
Yeah, we string a stretcher together. And
Yeah, we make a
guy
litter,
on.
pop him on top of there, and then the recruits will carry him.
Yes, and they are happy to do so. Any opportunity to carry on living is definitely good as far as they're concerned.
That's a great outlook on life, really.
Yeah. I'm not jam, therefore I'm
Yeah.
happy.
That's actually the Symbaroum motivational poster. Any excuse to be alive is a great one. Have a good day.
It could be worse.
Could be in Davokar.
So you now have the litter. You take the man along with you, and your new recruits carry him. So you pass through the wooded area, beyond which there is a relatively so there's basically a river between you and what lies beyond, but you can find a fordable area of it where it's not too hard to cross. And in the distance, you can see the ground slopes downwards from here, and the path winds towards what you assume to be Camp Titan in the distance. And even from here, compared to other refugee camps you've seen, Camp Titan is impressive. In your time as soldiers, you've seen some actual sort of forts and outposts look less substantial than Camp Titan. Mathias, in fact, your long career with the military and the heritage of your family means that you are aware that Camp Titan was, as far as you know, actually built when Queen Corinthia originally passed over the Titans and came into Ambria for the first time. It was there upon her arrival. Effectively, it was the first place that she stayed in Ambria. So it does have, in the past, a heritage of being a military outpost, but has since fallen from that lofty height and role into a refugee camp.
I think, yeah, you guys would see a change in Mathias as it becomes visible, where he is actively attempting to clean off as much of the mud as possible, and he walks more upright, and his shoulders are kind of thrown back, and he walks with all the authority that you've seen that he carries in towns, where he's less whiny, or more whiny, depending on your definition, but he seems to have the air of leadership that he's given himself as he sort of throws his chest out and walks back and says, "This way," and he looks back to the recruits.
The recruits are immediately behind you, shuffling at pace with the litter with the injured man on.
Well done. You'll make fine guardsmen yet.
Thank you. You can see that they are all casting a gaze back towards Ertz, sort of half one eye on the road ahead, one eye on that enormous hammer, which still has bits of viscera sort of clinging to one edge, despite Ertz's efforts to probably clean it.
But he's just whistling too.
Actually, Utz is starting to look more and more uncomfortable as you enter the populated area. But he is very keen on. He's obviously taken upon him to sort of what do you call it when you're herding sheep? But in this case, he's herding recruits. So that's his job. He's focusing on that.
Yes, he's the group's shepherd.
He's the shepherd. Yeah. I love it. Yeah. So Mathias is just headed towards camp.
Yeah. When we get in range, Arno is going to blow his whistle to signal any watchmen who might be on patrol.
So as you get closer, you can see that there are other trails leading towards Camp Titan. Camp Titan lies along it's almost a crossroads to the northward road from the mountain pass heading north towards Yndaros, and you have the east-west road which takes you along your route along the Titans. But north of Camp Titan there are more woods, but between the woods and the walls of Titan, you can see that there are fields that have clearly been tended as for crops, but those fields are now nothing but stalks where the harvest has been brought in, or fields open and but containing no foodstuffs. In the shadow of the walls around Camp Titan, you can see a scattering of lean-tos and tents and several wagons with some horses. There are clearly a lot of people outside the walls. It's a big place. It's probably big enough to have 100 dwelling places inside the walls. There is a single structure outside the walls that you can see, which is it looks like a chapel to Prius. And when you sound your whistle, there is no response.
So no guards on watch.
Looking at the walls and the gate on the side where you are, there is no evidence of guards and no reaction to your whistle.
So I lean towards Matthias and I say, Sarge, aren't this supposed to be a garrison here?
Paul, is this our first time in Camp Titan, or have we been here several times?
This is the first time you've been to Camp Titan in maybe a year or so. So it's not your first time here, but it's a while since you've been here.
Right. And the lean-tos and the tent city, is that usual? Is that a typical thing, or is that a new? That was not here last time.
That's new. That wasn't here. No.
Yeah, he looks over to Arno, and he sort of like raises a hand up to tell everyone to stop, and he says, "Yes, there should be an entire garrison here. Those it's been a while, but those tents. This isn't a place where people usually live. There shouldn't be tents and lean-tos here. Everyone should be inside, and they should all be, or almost all be, military."
There is no smoke rising from inside the walls?
No.
Okay. Very, very strange.
Do we know who the commander of the camp garrison?
So effectively, as I said, that this 20 years ago this was a fort. That now it's effectively a settlement more than a garrison. It's so there are half a dozen soldiers who remain here, but the primary population of Camp Titan is now refugees, and effectively the dwelling places in there are for those who are passing through. There will invariably be people who do not pass through, who make this pretty much their home because they know or feel that they will have no prospects if they pass beyond this point because of their own reputations. But that aside, those soldiers who are here, you would fully expect them to respond to a signal.
Something's up. Something's strange.
It is, but we can't do anything from here. We need to find a place to put him. And he nods towards the guy in the stretcher, and he says,
and somewhere to put them, Arno says, and points to the recruits.
Or they'll test their mettle now. I mean, they're not going to run. And he like smiles and nods towards Utz. Says, if 8's better than 4, right?
Yeah, true.
And he's going to kind of look for like a rocky outcropping or like somewhere that he can put this guy so he's out of the elements as much as possible so he doesn't get any worse.
There's the chapel.
Yeah, the chapel, other than perhaps heading back towards the woods or the woods to the north, the land is pretty much, it's either cultivated to the north or it's relatively flat to the south.
Yeah.
So the only real shelter outside the walls is either the lean-tos or the chapel, which is on the northwestern corner of the settlement.
He looks to Walder and kind of claps him on the back and says, "Good eye, boy. Good eye."
Thanks.
And he looks to the recruits and says, "Well, you heard him. And he nods towards the chapel. So we're headed first.
Okay, so you cross the remaining grounds, heading up and alongside the settlement. And as you approach the chapel, you can see that the ground around it has clear signs of graves where the dead have been buried. And you can see that there are several open graves where there are piles of earth or stone, and the graves are just lying unfinished. But as you approach, you can see that there are bodies in the open graves.
But no people can be seen around the church.
No,
Upright people walking around, living.
not not around the church. No.
Are we talking like regular size graves with just bodies put in there, like a body or several bodies?
It looks. You can see that that there are 3 graves that have been dug, and the bodies are in the graves, but they've not been finished. They've not been covered over.
But it's one body per grave.
Yeah, there are 2 other open graves where there are no bodies.
Okay.
And several of the other graves, many of the other graves look fresh, recent.
Yeah, one per grave. One per
Um,
grave is far less concerning than several per grave.
Many of the other graves look like they've probably been dug in the last week.
Okay.
Many of them. Okay. Are we talking like tens or hundreds or?
Tens.
Yeah.
And there's no sign of life at all in any part of the lean-to village or the tent city or anything like that.
Oh, I mean, given that you made a beeline towards the chapel, glancing back towards the lean-tos, you can see there are people amongst the lean-tos gazing out towards you. And seeing you, one of them draws back the flap of the lean-to, and out steps a woman, quite tall, with long braided hair, and she's wearing the rough clothes of a traveler. And she begins walking towards the chapel where you are.
Mathias looks to the new recruits, and he turns to them and says, "Get the man inside the church. Keep him warm, redress his bandages. I'm sure whatever Walder did is still working excellently." And he kind of looks over at the woman approaching us, and then to Arno, Walder, and Utz, and says, "Why would you dig so many graves ahead of time? Unless you're expecting this many people to die suddenly."
Planning ahead.
It's a morbid plan. And then he kind of like throws his hand up and hails the woman walking towards them.
Must be sickness, don't you think? Some kind of disease spreading.
If there's a disease spreading, why wouldn't you send a raven, send someone to Yndaros, to the Magica, anything?
Yeah, maybe they
wouldn't keep their camp here.
Right.
I like the live action role playing from Greg at the bottom. That's good.
This is a sickness. He's like.
So who was taking the litter? Was it just the
4 recruits? Yeah.
Okay, so the recruits take the litter inside the chapel.
I will follow them.
Okay.
Me too. Up to the stairs at least.
Okay.
Or door opening or whatever.
I'll go inside.
Walder will wait with Mathias because I'm assuming that the village are the travelers coming up to meet us.
Yeah. So this woman is coming up to meet you. Yes. Yeah. So she draws close enough to speak, and you can see from her eyes. She looks tired and stressed, and she sort of composes herself for a moment, and I'm glad you're here. You are most welcome, but this is not a welcoming place.
What happened here? Where are the soldiers that live inside the town?
Firstly, my name is Tala. I am a recent traveler from Alberator. I've crossed the mountain pass. We arrived here 3 days ago, and the camp has been closed to us. No one answers. No one comes to the gate. No one lets us in. There were others here already. We asked them. Travelers have been arriving here for the past week and have been unable to get in.
But why? What of this? Were these dug by you? Or your...
No, the graves were here when I arrived.
And you've been here for days, you said?
For 3 days.
These corpses?
The corpses have been there. We were concerned of sickness, disease. We've only just arrived here. This is just wrong. This is not the welcome we hoped for.
It shouldn't be the welcome you received. Has anyone made it over the walls? Or attempted?
Some. They have not come back.
That's concerning.
Have you seen anybody tend the graves or bring fresh bodies to it?
We saw somebody in the chapel. I saw somebody in the chapel the first day I was here, but we haven't seen them since.
What did they look like?
Looked like a priest. But when we tried to enter the chapel, the door was held shut.
Mathias glances back and looks at the chapel. Were they able to get inside?
Yeah.
So, yes. So the recruits open the door and take the body inside. And
Nice, Walder.
I stop at the threshold, just looking in and looking back at them, and looking in. Yeah.
Okay, there are half a dozen bodies in the chapel, and at the end of the chapel, you can see there is a seventh body wrapped in the robes of a follower of Prius, one of the priests.
I imagine it must be a foul stench.
It's ripe, yes. And stepping in, you immediately see the same tracery of black veins beneath the surface of their skin that you saw on the man you are dragging around with you.
Paul, with my history, what happened in my home village, mining village, do I recognize any of these symptoms?
You've definitely seen this tracery of black veins as a sign of corruption.
Yeah, I imagine I, as a practitioner of the mystical arts, might have some familiarity with that as well.
Yeah, in moments when perhaps you've pushed yourself too far, you might have even seen glimpses of this sort of thing in yourself.
Yeah. Arno was going to recommend that the recruits put this person in a room that could be with a door that could be closed and locked, but this was not the scene he was expecting.
I mean, you can. They take the man in. You can see that the place, the chapel, it was clearly set for the celebration of the harvest. At the end where the altar stands with the symbol of the sun on it, you can see
like garlands.
Yeah, and there's like a gathering of the vegetables and wheels of what are called sun wheels. They're a kind of sweetened bread roll that's clearly been made with the takings of the recent harvest, all gathered on the altar. And yet at the same time as seeing this, there's the stench of death all around you.
So whatever happened must have happened very quickly. But Arno is going to yell to the recruits to stop, and he will grab the closest one by the collar of his tunic and start pulling him back.
Okay.
How do they react, the recruits?
It has to be said, the recruits are. I think their fears have already been consumed by another source. They're almost drained.
They've reached the maximum already.
Yes, yeah. You can't push them past this threshold of fear. They've already gone too far. So
they just assume that we did this.
Yeah, being this self-aware giant, Utz realizes that maybe him standing in the doorway can be kind of counterproductive when it comes to the obedience of Arno's command. So I actually back a few steps and gesture for the recruits to do as Arno says.
Okay, they draw back towards the door and towards Arno, although you can see the fact that you're in the doorway is.
Oh, but I'm moving back. Slowly but surely, like I'm dragging them on a leash. Come.
Yeah, they come back. They come back out.
Yeah, Arno is hesitating if he should tell them to leave the man inside or not. But
he's still alive, right?
Yeah.
Put him down here by the door and don't touch him. And Arno takes a few steps back.
So Matthias, looking back to see you guys when the woman, when Tala said that she couldn't get into the church, I assume he sees you guys all slowly back out of the church, still carrying the man, and he kind of he looks back and says, "What is it?"
Sarge, you should see this.
All right. Excuse me. And he looks to Tala, and he turns and sort of starts to walk back.
And Arno positions himself so that the woman can't see in through the door. That sort of leads Matthias to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Matthias walks up next to him and takes a look through. Holy shit. Okay. Well, that explains something.
And Arno kneels down by the man on the stretcher, and he lifts up the man's arm to show the dark veins, signs of corruption.
He must have been from
You
the
think
town.
he's sick too?
We must burn the chapel. That's what the Tears and Black Cloaks said when this happened to my village.
It's not a bad idea.
Cleanse by fire.
The woman that Walder and I were speaking to, she's a traveler. No one's been able to get inside the city, or the town, rather. The gates are barred. No one's come in or out. She said that she's been here for at least 3 days. These graves are already dug. So how old are these?
I couldn't tell you.
So the graves are fresh enough that they've certainly been dug within the last week or so.
Yeah. What kind of relic would do this? I can only imagine this is something from that damn forest. But this quickly, this far away.
If a dark harvest is collected, there's no telling how quickly a sickness can spread.
Hey,
Certain plants can hold dark power within them.
It's true. Walder, you're saying something.
I touched that guy. Do you think it's okay?
and Arno looks Walder in the eye and says, "Only time will tell."
Okay. All right. Well, I'll be strong.
So,
Good member of the Queen's Watch.
So behind you, you can Tala. You can hear her voice, and he went across the wall. He went across the wall. He's sick. What? But. And she's pointing to the man who's been taken out by the recruits. The recruits are just looking dully at her, and she is stepping away from the man on the litter.
What do you mean? He crossed into the city.
He was one of the ones who went across the wall. He was looking, trying to find out what was in there. I guess he must have got out again.
Mathias,
Yes, that's
I've been thinking.
Careful.
okay.
I think maybe fire can help us solve both our dilemmas. We should definitely burn this church. But shouldn't also fire be able to help us get into town? There's no one stopping us from burning down the not the walls, but the gates, right? We could burn ourselves inside.
Yes, but my concern is that there might be something there that we shouldn't let out.
But we could burn it.
True.
Yeah.
I like the burning
Yes.
idea.
I feel like the church is a great idea. Burning the church will stop the spread from here. But I do agree with Arno. If we burn a hole in the gate, we don't get to whatever's in there. If there's anything, it could get out before we have a chance to burn it. Clearly, it's trapped in there now. Whatever it is, can't make it past the walls, except for this one. And he nods over to the guy on the stretcher.
At that, Walder looks at the woman, Tala. Was he sick when he went over the wall?
No, he wasn't sick.
When did he go over the wall?
He went across the wall the day I arrived.
3 days ago, then.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, and you saw the priest 3 days ago when you got here.
Yes.
Nothing since then.
Of the priest? No, he locked himself in the chapel.
Yeah, I don't think he's coming back out. I peeked in too.
The door is not locked now.
We must go home. We cannot stay here. We thought Ambria was a place of hope and potential, but there's nothing but sickness here.
Well, technically, you're not in Ambria yet. You gotta get past the forest, and once you hit the plains, you'll be fine. Why would the priest lock himself in this?
To contain it.
And he must have already known he was sick. Maybe he was the one that dug the graves. How did he get out of the city? Maybe he's the one that locked the door.
I did see a shape of someone priestly garb inside? Or
Yes, yeah, near the altar.
I think his body is inside. And I look through the door and point towards the altar at the end of the temple.
Matthias, you see his face kind of go slack, and he shakes his head, looking at the ground, and says, I'm gonna regret this. And he kind of hoists his cloak up around his face and walks into the church.
Arno will stop him.
We have to look at this priest. He might have something on him. He might know something.
Let me go. I have a ward. And then Arno steps through the door.
Lets him go.
But Arno will not go straight towards the body of the priest. Arno will look at the fruits and vegetables and foods that have been presented, and try to get a sense of, with his green thumb and his ranger training and his schooling in witchcraft, to get a sense of if any of these harvested goods have been tainted by corruption.
Okay. Make a go for a vigilant test.
Okay.
And I'll give you a +1 on that for your thumb.
Mm-hmm. Whoops. No, that's not correct.
Okay.
But I did roll a 10.
So
I don't think it matters what my stat is.
No. So you have a you're having a look. You do see that some of the display has been taken from the altar, and sort of there are some bits, sort of half-eaten vegetables and some of the sun wheels amongst the corpses. So they were clearly consuming them, and going towards the altar, you can see that they have taken from there. Can you make for me a quick test?
Oh boy. I can try. Yes, I can.
Okay, so as you're stepping forward and you're looking at the display on the altar, you are quick enough to react to the previously still body of the priest as the cloak whips back and the priest sort of rears up. You can see that his flesh is deathly white, riddled with a tracery of black veins, and as he stands, it's almost like a cough or a belch or something, but sort of a black goo, sort of like black blood vomits out of his mouth, and you narrowly avoid this gross cough in your direction.
Yeah, Arno just bounces back while this splashes out of this creature.
And it splashes onto the ground, and you are aware enough to hear a slight sizzle.
Abomination! I cry. And I start retreating.
Yeah, the rest of us hear that my guy's going to run in.
Okay, so so at the far end of the chapel, you can see at the altar Arno sort of backing away from this travesty of a follower of Prius, stood there, but sort of coughing black blood, the goo dribbling down his chin.
Matthias reaches and attempts to grab for Walder, but he's too quick as he gets in. He grabs the other side of the door and he says, "Out! Out now!" And he's making like he's going to slam the door shut as soon as everyone gets out of the church.
Yeah, Arno is retreating for sure.
Okay, so the priest's reaction is to lurch after you, trying to reach out for you. You can see your path ahead is strewn with the sort of corpses lying at the back of the chapel as you came in, at the front of the chapel, and you can see the others sort of backing away from you at the far end. I would need another quick test, please, to avoid the grasping hands of the priest.
No.
Okay.
Yikes.
Okay, so he manages to get a grip of your clothes, and yeah, you can feel him tug you back, and there's a foul stench as his breath reaches your nose.
Get away from me, you foul creature!
My friend.
Okay, so what are the three of you doing as Arno is clutched by this creature? Sorry.
Should we go in sequence of initiative?
Yes, yeah. So I think Walder is first.
He's going to run in and immediately attack with both his I'm going to use twin attack with the sword and the dagger. And am I allowed to use feint with that as well at the same time, or is that stacking? This is my first time. I don't want to mess up mechanics. So
you're only allowed to use one active ability.
Okay.
So if you're using the twin attack, I don't think. Yes, let's all reach for our rulebook.
Everyone pulls out a book.
Actually,
Feint,
ability.
yeah, feint is passive.
But it needs to be a precise or balanced weapon.
Yeah, but
I've got my ability cards. I play feint to your Mr. Baker.
Okay, so if I can do that, I'd like to use. I'll use feint with the dagger since it's a short weapon, and then I'll attack first with the sword.
Okay.
And I'm sure this will be fun. Any pluses or minuses, or?
Okay, so you have a plus. You have a plus 7 on this.
Oh wow! I've got a shot.
I'm ready for this. Come on.
Oh my God! No matter what you do to try to help him. The only reason a plus 7. He looks as his sword bites home for 1 damage. He looks almost down at it in wonder, as it's probably the first time it's ever drawn any type of wound. And Christ. Okay, I will go with the let's see, I guess I have to roll feint, and this is discreet. Are you still giving me a plus 7?
I'm wondering, what to
Plus 10.
Can I have a 20? Like a plus 20?
Greg, this is how I feel playing Cthulhu, just so you know.
Okay. Well.
See, effectively, even with the plus 8, the fact that you rolled a 20 is a fail.
Right. It should be.
Yeah, absolutely. So in practice, the priest gets a free attack on you in the same way that Utz managed to get a free attack against the barbarian leader.
Okay.
So you need to defend yourself against the priest's attack, which I'm sure will be equally impressive. Yeah.
It should be great. Yeah. I'm going to use the reaction ability of I don't know why. I don't know why I'm doing any of this to try to help myself. I'm going to try to use the feint ability for the defense so I can roll with discreet, if that's okay.
Okay. Right. So what you need to roll your defense at -5.
Awesome.
I prize.
Greg, I'm really hoping for you, man. I'm really pulling.
There you go.
Yay!
You did it!
Woohoo!
It's a
Well
banner
done.
day for Walder, right?
Well, you rolled the exact number too.
right. There's no margin for error. Now, can I? If I attacked and rolled a nat 20, he attacked and missed. Am I allowed to try my twin attack with the dagger now, or do I lose everything because of the awfulness of the first attack?
Poor Greg.
Hey, man, I'm gonna do it. So
Yeah. No. I will give you. Yeah. I'll give you your second attack. Yeah. If only just for the amusement.
thanks. Any bonus? I'll just go straight. Unless you give me a negative. You want me to do a negative or a bonus or?
In practice, the bonus is +7 again. He's a real plodder.
Okay, I will take it without question because I need every. Here we go. Hey, right?
That's 2 in a row.
Look at that. I'm on a streak.
You're on the board.
Welcome to the
Take
game.
that, foul beast.
Jesus Christ.
So yeah, your dagger sinks into his pale flesh. You can see like smoke rising from the blade as it cuts into him, and he backs away. He still has a clawed hand grasping at Arno's clothes. So as he backs away, he's pulling Arno with him. And we now actually it's Arno's action now.
Okay. Arno is flailing, but he gathers his wits and he reaches into one of his pockets and pulls out a bundle of thorns and allows them to. Well, you see him pull them out, and he squeezes them so that his blood sort of runs over these thorny vines, and then they spring to life, and they just wrap all around his arm, and then growing over his shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
So that is Thorn Cloak, which gives
Okay.
him some nice extra armor.
Indeed.
And I will roll corruption. Oof.
Ouch.
So I take 3.
So this is so this is fresh corruption. The previous corruption was from a previous scene. So you've
Yeah, well, but that would also warded, so I didn't take any.
Yes, yeah.
So Matthias runs in and kind of positions himself next to Walder, and I'm going to slash at this priest's arm with my broadsword and hopefully do something.
Hopefully.
Is it +7?
+7, yeah.
Get wrecked. Cool. Yeah, so I slash into this thing's arm for 3 damage in an attempt to free its grasp from Arno.
Okay. It is enough. The combination of the you saw as you charged forward that this sort of thorny growth appeared around Arno, and as you charge in and deliver the blow with your broadsword, the combination of this distraction from Arno and your own strike means that the priest releases him, and Arno is able to stumble forward free from his hold.
Yeah, he kind of reaches a hand out and like shoves at Arno. He says, "Out!" And he kind of positions himself between everyone else and the priest.
Is that smart? Because
No.
here comes Uts.
It's not smart.
Is there any way for me to get to the abomination, or is it too crowded in there? Because I'm like Uts running, Uts charging, meaning I'm walking slowly towards him.
do you think that any barrier beyond a stone wall is going to be prevent Utz from going wherever he wants? I think
I will not.
I think Utz might consider the people in front of him maybe rough terrain, but ultimately, I don't think.
I'm trying to be better. But of course you're right. I mean, this is a creature of the eternal night, threatening my friends. So if I happen to hurt my friends a little bit while plowing my way through them,
it's collateral damage.
Yeah, it's collateral damage. So okay.
He just picks us up and moves us out of the way like toys. Get out!
Yeah, I'm trying to hit him with a sledge hammer or the rock hammer.
Okay.
Still covered in gore from the previous head you smashed in.
You want me to roll +7?
Yeah.
Okay. +7. I hope I don't roll 20. That's a hit. An 18 damage.
Yep. Okay. So the rock hammer, the rock hammer strike is enough to effectively knock the priest down to the ground and back. So he basically slips a certain distance back along the floor in the trail of black goo that's been dribbling from his mouth since he's moved from the altar. And he strikes one of the sort of supporting pillars within the chapel, and comes to a stop and lets out a horrendous scream, and then just falls quiet.
Still standing?
No, he's lying on the ground, completely still.
That was fantastic.
Yes, and no.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, everyone out. Arno, check your wounds. Get out. And he begins to herd people out of this chapel.
Arno has to dislodge his feet as the thorns just grown into the floor.
That's awesome.
And he shakes it off and he just pulls the brambles off his arm and heads out.
Okay, so
I keep watching the priest while I back away out.
Okay, so you're effectively the last out. He doesn't move. And
are there any lanterns here, like oil lanterns and stuff?
No, there's only natural light. There are sort of gaps in the roof to allow the power of the sun to light the temple, so the chapel. So
nothing to fuel a cleansing fire.
Nothing that's lit. Clearly, nobody has been. The priest has not been in any condition to maintain the duties of his role in keeping the fire of any torches burning within the chapel.
Paul, on my way out, as I'm shepherding everyone out of the temple here, the corpses that are piled up everywhere, do they look like they're in threadbare cloth? Does it look, or are they wet with blood and corruption and other weird stuff?
The weird thing is that they are dressed like normal townsfolk. They are wearing normal clothes, but they look, if anything, they look ill-nourished, thin, pale. You can see the tracery of black veins, but clearly, whatever gripped the priest has not gripped them in the same way.
But they retain the normal flammableness of a normal human in clothes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Perfect. Yeah, that was what I'm looking for.
Fine.
So as he's backing out, he's shouting out the door to the woman out there, Tala. He says, "Fire! Bring torches! Whatever you have!" Assuming they have campfires or something set up.
Oh yeah. Yep. And Tala runs off, calling as she goes, and you have Tala and a couple of relatively brave individuals come back with their torches, and they are happy to assist you.
Arno is just sort of leaning against the wall of the temple outside, and he's coughing, and you could swear it looks like 3 small moths just fly out of his mouth.
Gross.
Okay.
So hearing you cough and knowing, that this thing had a hold of you, Matthias kind of looks over to Walder, who is our resident medicus, very skilled at it, and looks over and says, "Walder, can you check him over?" And he grabs one of the torches.
I'm okay.
Is Utz out of the church?
Yes.
I think Matthias takes the first torch and just throws it into the pile of corpses as far as he can get it towards the back of the church before taking another one and lighting closer ones on fire, or at least attempting to.
Fire.
It's a good suggestion. I appreciate it. And he's just, as they bring torches, he's just hurling them into this, hoping that something catches on fire at this point.
And after a brief moment when there's nothing other than the fire of the torches, you can see that the clothes on the corpses catches, and in short order, all the corpses are aflame, and the interior of the chapel begins to burn as well.
And then he closes the door and wordlessly takes the last torch and goes down to the graves and lights those on fire for good measure. Because fuck that. Not dealing with that today. Not dealing with that trash.
Okay.
Yeah, and then he kind of regroups with everyone and he says, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
What would cause that? And he looks to Arno.
I still think it may be something either in the plants they brought in or even in the ground. Something that poisoned the fields.
Will it spread? Will burning the fields help?
I don't know.
Who knows?
Maybe someone
But in the
who
city.
lived here. If there's anyone still alive inside the fort, they might know what caused this.
I mean, wouldn't the priest have known? Because this is corruption. This is darkness. This is the eternal light.
He wasn't here anymore. There was nothing left of him to ask.
Yeah, but I mean, how come he became a victim to this? He should have known the signs, right? He should have been able to call on the blessings of the sun, and
I think
this is. We need to get into town. We need to help people.
I think he tried to. I think that's why he had everyone in the church.
Wow.
Paul, it's been a year since I've been here last, right? Does that look like enough bodies to have been the town's population?
To be honest, you didn't spend a lot of time in the graveyard.
Yep.
But your guess would be that there are clearly far too many fresh graves. Yeah.
Okay.
With the camps, the camps, there's a lot of passing through. And people come and people go. Those who do settle in the camps, few as they are, you're not getting endless stream. There's no plague being carried. So people are not dying as readily as it appears that they are dying here.
Okay.
Can we expect some kind of reinforcements? Can we send for help from Prios Pass or somewhere else?
It's probably a couple of days' travel to Prios Pass. And judging by what Tala has said, people are clearly dying now, and the time it takes to get to Prios Pass and come back with help, who knows?
Yeah, if this all happened within the week, then this is fast acting, and whatever it's causing may still hold sway over this land.
Wait, you make a point, Arno. Tala, does anyone in your camp, anyone that you've seen, have black veins?
No.
Are you sure?
I haven't. We would have to go back to the camp and check. I've not seen anybody who's sick outside the walls.
He kind of looks over to Arno and says, if they've been here for weeks, her people been here for at least 3 days. She said there was more people that were here when she came here. Perhaps the wall keeps it at bay.
Perhaps. If it's in the ground, there may not be a keeping it at bay.
It's true. What have you been eating? And he looks over to Tala.
I still have rations from travel.
And everyone else?
I think that's why he pointing towards your the sick man. That's why he went into the walls. I think we only have so much food. I mean, she's walking back towards the camp now, and she's shaking her head.
Yeah, he kind of looks at everyone and says, "I think we should talk to them."
Yes.
And
we need to get a sense of whether this is spreading.
Yeah, and he starts to follow her.
So back at the camp, there are a
lot. Walk away with the conflagration of the church.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like that scene from Walking Dead where the barn's on fire. Everyone just walks away.
Yes. Yeah. So at the camp, you can see there's a lot of desperate eyes looking out from amongst the lean-tos and the tents, and there are all kinds of people here, children, parents, traders, and you get the gist that people who have been turning up from the south, and indeed from the paths from the east as well, have lingered for only a moment, and some of them have already moved along. The fact that the camp is closed off, and looking amongst the people here, eventually you do come across one of the lean-tos where there's no reaction to a sort of a tap on the sort of flap of the lean-to, and peeking inside, you can see that the traveler within is lying on the ground, and there is you can see his pack and everything laid out in his sleeping roll, and there is there's one of the sun wheels on the ground near to him, with several bites out of the bread, and he is very pale, and you can already see the tracery of veins beneath his skin.
Yeah, I use my oak staff to try to turn him over and get a look at him.
Yeah, he's like your guy in the litter. He's looking very he's pale. He looks malnourished, almost like his skin is pulling tight across the bone.
This one is sick. And he has taken food from the temple.
Matthias,
Yeah, so it's
fire.
can't burn down the tent village. There's people living here. We can take this one back out to the graves. Did we burn the guy from the woods? Did that happen?
No, I think he's left.
I don't think so. Not yet.
I forgot where in the church he was, or if we took him out of the church.
On the
be
to-do list.
honest. Yeah, he's high on the light on fire. Is that guy still alive? The guy in this tent?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Shit. And he's non-responsive, just like the other guy, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Matthias looks. He kind of has his short sword out still, and he jabs at the sun roll, and he looks over to Arno and he says, "Did you say this was from the temple?"
Yes. And Arno points to the sun wheel, the piece of bread.
Perhaps it's the wheat.
It's possible.
We should put this one with the others. Well, the other. I assume there'll be more. And he calls for the recruits. Come earn their keep.
The hazmat team.
Yeah, hazmat team. To come earn their keep and bring that body back.
Yeah. So yeah, they come along with the litter and they drag off the body to go with the other one. Tala is stood nearby, grave look on her face.
Yeah, he looks over to her and says, "This one, do you know him? Did he come with you?"
Arno will pick up the sun wheel, grabbing a cloth from the guy's pack and just wrapping it up and come out and put it in her face and go, "Has anyone else been eating this?"
I've seen some others in the camp.
It's poison.
But it's bread. It's food. We can't.
Where did you get this? Where was this from?
I've seen them in the camp, so I don't know. Somebody must have. Maybe somebody bought them from inside the village, from inside the settlement.
Show us where you've seen them. Who you saw eating them.
Okay. She takes you along, and there's a guy sat at a there's several people around a campfire, and one of them is handing a sun wheel to one of the other people at the fire as you walk up, and Tala snaps at him. Golna, no, it's poison, don't. And he looks up, looking confused. It's bread. It's not poison.
Arno will grab him by the chin and get a look in his eyes and sort of turn him around to look at his veins. Any sign of
stares you in the eyes. You don't see any sign of corruption. You see his clothes are wet, travel worn. There's several scrapes and on his knees. He says, I went into the village. I got it from got it from their store.
When?
Last night, while they were asleep.
How did you get in?
He points to the wall. I climbed the wall.
Is this the only one you've taken?
He brings out a sack, and it's got other food in it, as well as more of the sun wheels.
Of course it does, Paul. Thanks.
At this point, Walder comes up beside Matthias, and he says, "So, Sarge, we're going with the you eat something and get sick, right?"
Yeah, Walder.
Okay.
Yeah. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. Yeah. And you didn't get any blood in your mouth, right?
I don't remember. No.
You'd probably be fine.
Okay.
Time will tell.
He looks down to the
Could
man.
be
And
the
says,
water.
Did you? Could be the water. That's true. That's even worse. He looks to the man and says, "Did you give this out to anyone?"
Yeah, I was sharing the bounty of my finding.
Commendable.
There
However,
are
inconvenient.
hungry people here,
Yeah.
and they've got money.
Sharing. Oh,
Well, what's an Orteg between friends?
right. Would you know their face if you saw them again?
I don't understand. What's wrong with the bread?
Well, in short terms, you see the light of Prios over there.
That's a fire.
I know.
Wasn't that a chapel?
It was.
Full of
And
bread eaters.
that's Prius's power.
Yeah, full of people eating that bread.
I don't understand.
It spreads corruption.
It's poison.
Oh man.
The temple is full of corpses. Now it's full of ash.
I didn't mean anything by it. I just wanted to.
I know you didn't
Help.
mean anything by it, which is why I haven't put you in the temple. I need to find the people who've eaten this.
Arno, is there any sort of structure, like a soapbox I can get up on to get a good look, a good vantage point on the camp?
Like, yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Arno will rush up on a structure and blow his whistle and cry out,
Okay.
1 shilling per sun wheel.
Okay.
Bring me your bread and I will pay you a shilling.
Okay. You are spontaneously mobbed by people running across the camp.
Game over, they kill us. just trampled.
Death by mob.
Utz makes it out. That's it.
Yeah, you are. You. There's a dozen sun wheels handed over. Several of them with chunks missing.
Yeah, I pay them. I have $5, so a dozen will be. Yeah, I can afford that.
Some, yeah. In this ongoing campaign, it's
Yeah.
a real,
so much
a real
money.
dint in your purse.
Yeah. The ones that are bringing forth eaten bread, Matthias will do his best to like grab those people and pull them aside out of the throng of people. To try to gather up as many people that ate the bread as possible. And then he looks to the man who was selling bread. He says, Does this look right? Is this an appropriate number of people you sold to?
He shrugs, shakes his head. I don't know. Probably.
It probably is, I guess, as good as we can get. Can you show us how you got in?
Yeah, sure.
He looks to Tala. He looks to Arno first and kind of like shrugs like a help me out here, man. And he looks to Tala and says, "Can you separate these people?"
Stuffing these loaves of bread into a bag, which he then throws on a fire.
In the fire.
Ah, fire.
He looks to Tala and says, "These people need to be separated from the rest. We don't know how this spreads."
Okay, I'll clear one of the tents and we can, or one of the carts or something. We'll find somewhere to keep them.
If you see anyone,
I would have put them in the chapel, but
well, it was full of corpses, so I'm sure that wasn't any better. If you see anyone eating food that they didn't bring with them, put them in the group. Take the food.
Okay.
I'll leave these 4 to guard them. They're recruits. They're recruits. They're new members of the Queen's Guard.
Okay, so they go off and do as you've asked.
Yeah, he looks to the bread guy and he says, "Can you show us how you get in?"
Yeah. So Golna takes you to a little way around the wall, and you can see evidence of the settlement's past as a fortress. Effectively, there are marks and deep sort of cuts where at some time probably some over energetic bandits have decided that they're happy to take a sweet target like this and have attempted to attack it, and there's just enough damage to the wall to provide a sort of foot, gaps to get fingers and toes into, and Golner is able to climb the height of the wall and reach the top.
Are we able to follow him?
Yeah. Fearing what making Walder roll a test would result in, we'll assume that you take your time and take every measure to climb the.
We can Oots over first, and then he can rope Walder out.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just rides Oots like Master Blaster style.
That's amazing.
Okay. So you get to the effectively the walkway behind the wall, and within you can see the expanse of the settlement. About 100 small structures, buildings, residences, where people have. People presumably live. Gathered amongst them, there are a few larger structures. One that looks like a meeting hall, another that looks like it might be a smithy, a further one that potentially might be some kind of bakehouse. And there are a lot of people lying on the ground outside amongst the houses. Mainly, most of them are quite close to the homes where they presumably have sort of either struggled reaching or struggled to get out of. You don't see any evidence of smoke rising from any of these dwellings. There are no fires burning here. And you don't see any immediate sign of movement either.
And no sounds.
Other than the core of a few stray crows who are experimentally checking to see whether there might be a food source by sort of bobbing up to one of these immobile bodies and giving it an experimental peck. There are no sounds beyond that.
Did they seem put off by the bodies?
No, the crows seem indifferent to the bodies. They peck away and bob back as if cautiously. But yeah, you get the funny feeling that this is going to become carrion central in short order.
Yeah, and then the problem will spread even further. Take us to where you found the bread, Arno. That's to Golner.
So he passes across the short distance to the bakehouse. Basically, there is the bakehouse is off to the east side of the settlement, not far from where you came over. And there is a large, also cold chimney rising high above it. There is a structure next to it, which he points into. The door is open, and there are sacks and barrels inside, which contain. You can see that some of the sacks have been rummaged through, and there are various baked goods in there, including the sun wheels. And yeah, that he points to. That's where he got them from.
All right. Arno will start looking around the inventory of the shop and see if we can get a sense of any source of the malady.
Well, I mean, as well as finished goods, you come round to the main part of the bakehouse. There is there are a couple of sacks leaning against the wall outside. There's the front of the bakehouse is close to the. There are other buildings gathered around it, almost like it's almost like a meeting place, almost like it's formed a meeting place in front of the bakehouse as a place where people,
like a little square.
Yeah. And there's like a trough nearby, presumably for for animals, and a well, and there are other corpses lying around this open area. A quick look inside the bakehouse, you find the baker equally lying still, pale and dark veined, with one of the sacks lying on the ground, sort of spilled, with the wheat inside sort of scattered over the ground.
Arno will point out the bodies so that someone keeps watch on them. We don't want them to rise as the priest did.
No, we don't want that.
Why do some stand up as abominations and others do not?
I don't know. It's the plague of undeath. It takes some and not others.
So far, only one. And that was the priest.
Yes.
That's strange.
Yes, I agree. Arno, looking out into the little square outside the bakery.
Yeah.
Does it seem like there's a particular concentration of bodies, like around the well, or is it just randomly scattered?
Around the well.
I don't think it's the wheat. I think it's the water of this town. Something deep in the earth.
Do we see more than one well? Or is it just the one central well?
There's just this one well. I mean, a short walk around, you find that this is the key source of water.
He looks over to Arno and he says, I've heard tell of people venturing into the forest in Thistlehold and coming back with treasures and items. Would it be possible that one of these items made it here and was dumped in the well? Could that do this?
Yes.
I can't accept the fact that it's just the water. Something had to have caused this.
From the perspective of your green thumb, you would guess that the well is being fed by a local source of a spring or something, and that the location of the fields north of town would suggest that that's presumably the path of the water that's basically feeding this well.
The groundwater of the area.
So not only, I mean, the well itself is being fed from there, but in theory, the fields are also being irrigated by the same water.
So Arno says, the fields, that the water that feeds the fields also feeds this well, so it can't be an cursed item discarded into this pit. And he looks over, tries to get a bit of a peek down into the well.
The darkness. There's just a vague glint of light caught on the surface of the water far below.
I think it must be something set deep in the ground.
Can we remove it?
I honestly don't know. In the forest, the witches they have areas that are people are banned from traveling through because they have been poisoned for centuries, thousands of years. Men are killed for setting foot in those places because the places cannot be healed.
This is the most known crossing from Alberator. Everyone knows to come through here.
So, would it be possible to trace the source? Could we drop you, Arno, down there, and you could we can trace the taint, the sickness of it. Why are you shaking your head? I am posing a valid question here.
Yes and no. Mainly no.
I'll go.
That was...
but Paul, I got the sense that that this groundwater source is to the north, so also feed through the fields.
Yeah, that would be your assumption. As I said, based on your agricultural sort of your natural side, you would assume that the water's been carried here from north of the settlement.
We should leave this place and inspect the fields to the north and see if we can find the spring that is feeding both of these places.
What would we be looking for? I mean, it's just fields. Just like this is just water. You can't see it, or can you?
Well,
don't say yes and no. Just give me a straight answer. What are we looking for?
If we continue with the sergeant's reasoning, it might be possible that there's an object that is poisoning the water closer to its source. And if we travel north, we will find that source.
Let's go. Sorry, Mathias, what should we do?
We should go.
Yeah.
You said you think the water flows north, from the north.
Yes. Let's go.
He kind of leans over as we begin to leave. He leans over to Walder and says, "That was brave, offering to go down there. Good, becoming of a Queen's Guard."
Well, it really wasn't brave. I think I did get some of that blood in my mouth.
God damn it. Well, I think like a little bit will be fine.
You do? Okay. Well, I wouldn't go down there anyway. Okay.
Yeah, no, we don't need to go down there. It's probably a very small stream. We'll overland. Plus, we have no way to hear you talk. So he does his best to reassure Walder before they head out. And on his way out, he'll apprise Tala of what is happening, so that she can attempt to calm the small folk.
Yeah. Not to draw water or eat anything from the
No water, no bread.
Yeah, don't starve if you have to. Death is preferable. And he leaves the recruits to guard these people, and threatens them under pain of death, under pain of oots. If they desert, he will send oots after them.
Okay. So having set them straight, you then head north of the settlement.
Yeah. Arno will lead the group towards the fields.
Yeah.
And from there, try to get a sense of a direction of a stream, or try to trace the groundwater if possible.
Yeah. So I mean, the fields are now nothing but stubble. The ground is clearly quite fertile and quite soft and almost it's muddy underfoot because of the rain. But you can tell that this is good. This is good farming ground. This soil should be good. Following the across the fields, there is a rise up, and ahead at the edge of the field, there are trees, and yeah, having reached the edge of the field, there is a small wooded area ahead, and you can see there there's a trickle here where the limits of what looks like a stream is sort of fed down into to part of the field, and there's clearly some source of water from within the woods themselves.
Is there any sign of taint in the trees around this area?
The undergrowth is very dark, and there's a like a black fungal growth at the base of the trees, which is climbing, not visibly climbing, but it's clearly come from the ground and has been creeping up the bark of the trees.
This is the place. It's this way.
Is it here in the forest or below?
I think if we follow this trickling stream, we will come closer and closer to the source of this problem.
All right. And he places his one of his hands on his on the pommel of his blade, like reassuring himself almost. And he looks to Walder and nods, and he looks to Utz and shakes his head, follows behind Arno. Okay, so moving into amongst the trees, the ground is getting increasingly muddy, and you're soon sort of pretty much ankle deep in a slurry of the wetness here. But you notice that the ground seems churned, broken, and it's really quite uneven. They're like chunks of earth that have just sort of been churned up, and every now and then there's a sort of a scattering of like stones amongst the dirt.
Yeah, Arno will stop and just sort of sift through this broken ground and say, it looks like something trampled through here or churned up the earth.
Yeah, does it look like it's like done by hand or done by
like a plow or a beast?
It's hard to tell. You don't see any sign of prints, sort of hooves or animal prints or any kind. It would be the sort of effect you would expect almost from somebody taking a plow to the land, but there's no practical way you could get a plow amongst the trees and growth here. It's almost but the ground has that kind of churned effect, like the ground has been turned, and the sort of like material from beneath has come up as a result. So these chunks of dirt and stones and so forth.
It's like someone has plowed this ground. And Arno just like grabs a pile of mud and turns it over, and I guess it's like grass, like it's just been.
Yeah, absolutely. Over. So having picked up some of the dirt, yeah, indeed, there is what's clearly part of the like ferns or weed or grass on the underside of the dirt. Yeah.
I don't know what could do this.
Could be an animal?
No, there's no prints.
Is it black stuff?
There's still black fungal growth on the trees around. The water looks murky. It's not tainted visibly, except by your own passing through it and churning the mud and muck up.
It's an unclean place. But we must continue.
Are we headed the right direction?
Yes, I think so.
We must continue.
So moving further in, then you find that the ground becomes increasingly disrupted and churned, and you actually find at first there's a tree. A whole tree seems to have been pushed out of the ground and collapsed. Its roots are exposed, and there's just a hole where the roots were, which itself contains more of this churned earth. And clambering across that, you find a few paces later there's another tree which is leaning heavily and has been impaled by a piece of stone which is sticking out of the ground, and as if it's just emerged like a knife and gone through the trunk of the tree.
This is incredibly disturbing. It's like the earth itself has struck this tree.
Yeah, I'm beginning to sense that maybe it's not an animal or anything that has affected the ground from up here. Maybe it's something down there that wants up.
Yes.
I agree.
How do we get down to where it is so we can stop it? Because this doesn't look good. We could, just as an idea. I've been pondering this while I've been thinking. And fire.
Yes, fire is good. It doesn't help us get down.
No, but this forest is infected. Maybe, yeah. I'm just putting it out there.
God damn it! This is we're in the fire. We're in the forest.
Yeah, but yeah, not now, of course. Let's move along. Let's find a cave or something. I need to get down there.
Yes, I agree. Let's find a cave or a ravine or some sort of point of access.
Sinkhole, anything.
Yes.
And almost as Utz utters the word sinkhole, ahead there is a sort of a gap, a clearing in the trees where several trees have been churned up and collapsed, having been pushed through the ground, and there is a wide pool of flooded ground, at the center of which, oddly, there's a hole, as if and what's really strange is that the water is rising up out of this hole in a slightly unsettling way. The hole is wide enough that you could probably climb down into it. It's not like a spring head or anything. It's the water is rising out of the hole.
I think this is the place.
I would say so.
And Arno says that highly reluctantly.
Walder, you can climb in this one.
Okay. He immediately starts getting stuff ready.
Okay.
We should have a rope.
Yes.
Yeah, I assume we have some kind of rope. Yeah, we secure rope to a tree or something like that,
Or to
Utz, and he stays up top. That makes sense.
Oh, we're going down, all of us.
I'm
not staying up here.
I'm headed down.
I was thinking if Walder wanted to go down and have a look. Yeah.
We can't just send Walder.
Sure.
No,
You can. I'll yell up if there's trouble.
No, there's for sure trouble, Walder. We can't just send you alone. If you die, there's a line of questions.
Well, someone has to go first, so I can go first.
Okay. You can go first. And he starts securing the rope. Probably as Walder's like climbing, he starts securing. Wait. He like throws the rope towards him.
So the lowering yourself into the hole, it's not like a sheer drop. There's kind of a mess of rubble and earth and rock, almost like it's almost like a very steep slope. But there's water coming up this slope as you climb down it. The water is very cold. There's no smell to it. But there's definitely some kind of updraft of a smell coming from below. And when the hole opens out and you can feel something beneath you, you basically drop into water up to your waist. And there's a pool down there. It's like a cave. And it is full of more of this rubble and debris. And there are several more sort of spikes of this stone that you saw impaling trees out in the woods further back in the cave. And there's something uneven and under your feet, which makes it a bit difficult to stay upright. But you've got a rope attached to you, so you're okay.
It's uneven down here. More of those more of the rock spikes. It's water up to my waist. It's cold.
Make room so we can come down. It's with you.
There's a lot of room. You're fine.
Oh, okay, great. And he slides down.
All right, then Arno will go down after.
Okay. So yeah, it's a large cave. About half of it is full of water, and then further back you can see these sort of rock growths, outcrops coming from the ground. The only light is from the hole above.
Arno will light a torch.
Okay.
Or try to.
So will Walder. He will attempt.
Okay, so you light a torch, which is easy enough to do, and you can see that the cave is very large, and as I said, there are these rock outcroppings, and Arno, you can see that towards the back there are several of these stones, and they look like, one of them looks like it has symbols, writing of some kind on it, which you can just pick out in the light of your flickering torch. And behind that, there's something behind that rock, and there's like a shadow at the very back of the cave.
We have two guys with torches, one guy with a hammer, and one guy carrying a sword.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I think Arno will be intrigued by the symbols on the rock, so he will trudge through the water and approach that stone and see if he can recognize any of the symbols.
Do all of us notice this shadow thing?
You make a vigilant check test.
I'm gonna do the same.
Modification?
No modification.
I don't notice anything.
Yeah, you do.
Nope, Walder does.
Yeah, Walder does.
Oh, in fact, Walder is the only one who made the test. Well done.
And no one will believe him.
The turn of the tides.
So yeah, Walder, you can see this. There's this shadow behind the outcrops of rock, and the shadow is moving. There's
And we are moving towards it.
You're moving towards the rocks at the back of the cave. Yeah.
But it definitely looks like something. The shadow at the back of the cave has its own movement. A separate movement.
The stones aren't moving, but whatever's at the back of the cave is moving.
Okay.
And yeah.
He immediately points that out. The back. It's not the shadows moving. There's something back there.
What is it? Is it an animal?
So as you're moving forward, the water is getting more shallow as you reach the back of the cave. And you now see that amongst the debris on the ground, which has been making your path uneven, you can see a couple of skulls amongst the debris. They look like animal skulls.
Arno, the torch.
Arno
Give me the torch.
Arno will hand it over.
And I will rise it about 1 meter higher than he does.
Okay. There's a loud snort from the back of the cave.
Better you take this. And grip the hammer.
So Walder has a torch.
Yes,
he does.
Arno will throw his torch towards where the shadow is.
Okay. So there is the torch lands at the back of the cave, and there is a squeal, and another snort, and you can see this shadow thrown into sharp relief by the flame next to it now. It seems to be a large animal, which as it emerges seems to be it's an aboar. And you can see that its mouth is sort of slick with gore from whatever meal it's been consuming. But the thing is, it looks wrong as an animal. It's lumpen, and it's got black marks on its flesh.
Arno, is this what tilled the ground? Is this the rooted up the trees?
I think it's very possible, Arno says, as he's pulling out his bundle of thorns.
What you could also see as you got back here, though, was that the stone with the writing on it, the water is pooled around the base of this stone, and that's where it's moving from. The water that's near it is moving away and up and out of this cave.
It has some sort of gravity or agency over the water.
So please give me a sense of the dimensions and the distances here. We are standing in the cave. We have the stone right ahead of us, and the beast beyond it.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's a sort of an egg-shaped cave, about 100 meters long. Half of that is water, which gets increasingly deep back the way you just came in, and then the half that is out of the water has several spikes of rock and debris in it, and then at the back of that cave is the aboar. So it's about 20 yards away from you at the moment.
Walder's going to kneel down and take one of the larger skulls, and he's going to jam his torch into the eye socket so he can keep it burning if he has to leave it on the ground, making a placeholder. Yeah, making a torch stand for it as he slowly stands back up and pulls his dagger and sword out.
Okay.
Order of initiative. Yeah, I'm going to do something, but I'm waiting my turn.
Okay.
I've been thinking.
It would be. It would get to act before anyone else.
So as Walder is making a placeholder for the torch, Matthias looks over to Arno and sort of glances at the stone that he pointed out earlier and says, "Do you think destroying that would fix this?"
As
Possibly.
if to answer that question, Utz has already taken a giant step forward, whispering over his shoulder, "You take the beast," and he raises his hammer and aims at the stone.
Arno will just shield his eyes because he doesn't want to get the stone splinter.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I managed to get there before the Abor or the Blight beast is upon us.
It will react. Its reaction is actually effectively to pause. It seems you've disturbed it mid meal, and it's glowering at you. So effectively, you can act before it. It is for this turn only. It will act after everybody else.
Okay.
Which means Walder goes first.
Walder hears what Utz says, that we should take the beast, and never one to not follow orders or think or succeed in anything. He turns around and cautiously begins to advance on the creature. Not scared. He's looking to try to flank it as he moves in to attack the creature.
Walder
Okay.
is too heroic for this world.
He's not long for it, so don't worry.
Just want to give him a hug.
What would you like me to do here? I'm going to do the same thing that if I can get close enough, he's going to do the twin attack with the feint used on the dagger.
Okay.
That's
So you can make your attack with no adjustment to your roll.
Yay!
that dagger, man. That's all I got.
Dagger's where it's at.
And striking out with your dagger, you see that it fails to pierce the flesh of the beast when you strike out.
Ooh.
So your flailing follow-up blow, unfortunately, just scrapes across the surface of the flesh.
It's tough.
Arno?
Arno is, so he's holding his bundle of thorns in one hand, and he reaches in with his other hand into his bag and pulls out his sharpened sticks. And again, he brings them up to his mouth, and he whistles into them, and
That's a dirty habit you've got there. You don't know where those sticks have been.
yeah. So I'm gonna roll resolute. There we go.
Oh yeah.
So 5 of those little sharpened sticks fly out of his hand and start to orbit in the air.
Okay.
And I can shoot one of them as a free action.
Mm-hmm.
Now I do have that ability. I do have Storm at adept level, and at the level they do 1d8 damage.
Okay.
I believe. So I'll do.
Well done.
Nay.
There is a ricochet as your storm arrow flies across and pings off the surface of the creature.
Oh, and I also need to roll corruption. Okay, so I take 1.
Matthias.
Matthias kind of steps forward, but not enough to attack the beast. And he points his sword at it, and he just utters a declaration of hold off this beast so that Utz can take out the stone. And I'm actually going to use my active ability under leader. Yeah. So now everyone who attacks that thing does an extra 1d4 damage.
Nice.
Okay.
Yep. And that's an active action. So that's my
Indeed.
move.
Yeah. Okay. Utz.
Yeah. I don't know if you want me to roll to hit or anything. I'm just going to smack away at that stone.
No, so you don't
With
have to
my
roll
hammer.
to hit. Don't have to roll to hit. You need to roll for damage.
Yeah, it's okay. How do I do this? It's 1d12 and 1d4.
Yeah, I think you can just write the dice plus the dice. So /r
Yeah. Here, I'll put it there.
/r 1d12 plus 1d whatever.
Someone is helping me. I'm
Yeah.
sensing.
Yeah, I believe it should look like that. If I'm not mistaken.
Ah, that's easy. Let's
Yeah.
try it.
Yep, that works.
But I want to do it.
Yep. Yeah, I was testing it. It's all you.
There you go.
All
Eight-
you.
18 damage.
Well done.
Thanks.
Okay. So yeah, you strike the stone, and there's a definite crack. Little chunks of stone fly off and fall to the ground. Yeah, there's damage. Not significant damage, but damage. So now, Walder, as you are knee deep in a boar, I think it only appropriate that it turns its tuskered attention towards you. So we would need a roll. So your defense, and it is against. It's a modifier of -5.
Okay, and he's going to use, since he has his 2, that's not going to work at all anyway, but I don't care. He's going to use the feint ability, the reaction, to give himself the ability to roll this with his discreet. So
Okay, yep, that's no problem.
there's a nat 20 somehow anyway, but
Man.
don't worry, I negated 1 damage though. I'm sure that'll take care of a lot of it.
1 out of 12 is not bad.
Okay, so yeah, you're gonna take 9 damage minus
Okay.
whatever armor you've got. Would
Well,
come up with
that's
that.
included in the defense roll.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you take 8 damage.
It already did that for me.
Okay,
Hmm.
good. Oh well, in that case, and you also need to roll a D4 for corruption.
Awesome. Nailed that one. There you
Well
go.
done.
God damn it.
Now, does that hit his pain threshold?
I was going to say, yeah.
Oh, there's no. I had a 4. Yeah, I'm well over my pain threshold.
Right. So, what would you prefer? Would you prefer to be knocked down to the ground,
Or be hit again?
or open yourself up to a free attack? Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm going to take the ground every day on that one.
I'm just gonna lay down for a second.
What's your corruption threshold, Greg?
That's an
it-
excellent question.
What's
It
your
was-
resolute?
9.
So it's 5 then.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm feeling a little corrupty too.
Yep.
So
Yep. A little bit corrupty.
Yep.
okay,
we
so
barely
the
need
worst
one.
character I've ever played in my life flashes down to the wet ground as he's laying there, essentially gored by this thing.
I like how you were so positive. I'm going to play Walder. It's going to be great. Dun, dun, dun.
I like Symbaroum. I don't like Walder. Can I say that? All right.
Oh, perfect. Perfect.
Okay, so at that point we're top of the round. At which point, actually, the Abor is first to react this time. And I think Utz would be an obvious target at this point. Because
But hasn't he acted?
Didn't it just attack?
Yeah, didn't just score
it did.
Walder?
It attacked at the end of that round. It
wow.
delayed its attack
Fuck
effectively.
me.
Okay.
God damn it.
So you need to make a defense roll at -5.
You're funny, man. -5. Look at this. Oh. Damage negated.
Wow,
eight.
damage
Negates 8 damage.
So I take 1 in
That's how you
damage.
do it.
Is that what
Wow.
you're saying?
So you will take 2 damage.
2 damage.
Yes.
Oh.
If the damage negated is 8, you take.
This only makes me more angry. No, he's the stone.
And you need to roll a d4 for your corruption.
Yeah, okay. Well, I just want to find where I have my where is my toughness?
It should be on the left-hand
there.
side of your
Oh,
card sheet.
right. Current. I have 20. Okay.
Yeah.
Guys, for the record in chat, Mathias came on here and said, "Oh, I've never used Roll20." Little do we know, he made it, and he's hacking it as we speak. All these amazing rolls.
I'm trying to at least. So now I'm supposed to roll a d4.
Yeah.
I think I know how to do it if I just can find the chat. Hello. There we go. And I do it like that. I do it like that. And I often talk to
It
myself.
does sound like you're actually programming rather than.
2 in corruption.
Alternatively, if you look on your character sheet and you look at corruption on the right-hand side, there's a little weird red corruption thing. If you click on that button, it rolls it for you.
Thanks.
Yep. I forgot that was there until right this second.
Cool.
Cool. So, right. So, yeah.
I'm standing.
Yeah.
I'm growling.
You are still there.
Yeah.
However, down on the ground, what's Walder doing?
Walder is going to
Flounder.
check and make sure he's not dead.
Mm-hmm.
Now that he's pretty successful, or understands that he's not dead, I'm going to try to. This wastes the whole action, but he's going to try to use his recovery. I have to make a successful resolute. Yep, no, don't worry about that. I can't concentrate. Oh, I'm hurt so bad.
It's all the blood seeping out of your body that makes it difficult to focus.
Racked with spasms of pain. You are.
That's definitely a rib.
You can stand up though.
Just popping through the flesh there. Yeah, never good.
Yeah,
Okay.
I will stand up with my movement though if I can. Just
Yes. Yeah. I won't make you roll for that because otherwise you'd be down on the ground for the rest of the game.
I'm so sorry,
Yeah,
Greg.
roll for walking now.
Oh no.
So, Arno.
All right. Seeing this blighted beast gore one of my companions, I'm going to use my bundle of thorns to cast Thorn Cloak,
Okay.
and that is automatic. So I'm covered in my trademark brambles, and that's going to give me some extra armor.
Okay.
And I take corruption. 2 corruption.
Mathias.
Yeah, I'm gonna I'm gonna go up there and help my buddy Walder. He's such a good young soldier that someone's getting some chops. So yeah, I'm gonna go stab this boar in an attempt to save him, I guess.
Okay.
So broadsword coming at you. What's the?
But guys, you should be flanking him now, right?
I guess so. Yeah.
Paul? We need that extra damage, you know. Or
Yeah.
is he?
Effectively, it would be you, Utz, and Matthias would be in a position that you are flanking.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
Arno's not engaged and Walder is barely conscious.
Right.
So there's
What's the bonus damage for?
so that's a +2 to both your roll and the damage.
Fantastic. Okay, cool. So I am going to. What's the modifier for this?
So there's no modifier from the creature's defense, so it's just +2 to your roll.
So 9 damage. As I spear into this thing with my short sword, or my broadsword rather.
Nice.
Yeah. But +2 damage from...
No, it's on there. So if you look on your character sheet, if you look at where your weapon is, there's a bonus disadvantages thing. So you just take the damage up to, and if you're attacking the boar, you can add where it says roll, make that a d4, so it rolls that extra on top of that for my bonus, and then take the attack up to as well.
Cool.
Techno magic.
I know, right?
Okay. So Utz.
Yeah. I'm going to treat him like the Rock with my rock hammer, and I do 2 extra damage, and I have a little bit of an easier time hitting him, so +2.
And because I marked it, you have an extra 1d4
Yeah,
on it as well.
right.
I'm sensing a board jam incoming, but
Could I on these bonuses disadvantages, could I add 2d4 to roll?
That one you can't do. You gotta do
Okay.
that one. You gotta add a manual. It only does so much.
Yeah. Okay. 9 plus 1d4. So 11 in damage.
okay. So the creature lets out a horrific squeal as the hammer comes down and splits open its side. It collapses to the ground with its guts spilling out through the rent in its flesh where your hammer has torn through it.
Without almost in the same motion as I tug the hammer out, I turn back to the stone and continue smashing it until it's dust.
Okay.
If possible.
Yeah, everyone. Arno dives for cover. I just saw it happen.
Matthias shields Walder. His luck as a shrapnel comes up and kills him.
Yeah. Walder,
all
all
my
he does is
bramble
he
just
points.
starts sinking into the ground, so now I can't really get up again.
Walder just points at the boar and says, "Doesn't feel that good, does it?" When he hits it with the hammer.
He stabs it with the knife just for good measure. Amazing.
So through in cover through the crack of your finger, Arno, you can see Utz reduce this relic of the of some past age into rubble. I think as a somebody of a mystic bent, there might be a twinge somewhere that perhaps something important is being utterly destroyed.
Yeah.
By a crazy man with a big hammer.
It's a
But yeah, in rapid order, Utz has reduced this stone to dust, and the water in here suddenly becomes very still and dark, and it's suddenly very quiet, apart from the sound of Walder repeatedly stabbing a dead pig.
Quiet rage. Matthias looks over to Arno and he says, "Do you think that would do it?" As he looks at the shrapnel of the.
Yeah. Arno gets up and pulls all his brambles off him and collects all his little sticks from the air. That should probably set things.
I think it does. I mean, no stone. The water is still, and it's still cold.
Yeah.
And the beast is dead, and Walder is, I don't know, crazy.
I'm okay.
He's working out some problems right now.
Are there like roots and stuff, coming out of the walls? Because we're underground under forest.
There are roots poking through the ceiling of the cave. Yeah.
Matthias reaches down and grabs the torch that Walder had placed inside of his skull. He kind of looks to Utz and he says, "Just for good measure." And he presses it to the hair of the boar, and then attempts to start pressing it to the roots. Just might as well.
Okay.
So he's gonna try to burn the cave while they get the hell out of here.
We are still inside.
But yeah.
He got it right this time. Come, Walder, you want me to carry you?
Yes. Yes, please.
And pick him up as a little child.
Tell me a story.
He curls right into Utz and puts his head on his shoulder. I don't like this place very much.
So. There.
Queensguard isn't all it's cracked up to be. So burning everything he can on his way out, Matthias will finally make it to the rope and then just throw the torch into the burning cave.
And we do another one where we walk away from the fire.
As it's licking out of the hole.
or get carried away.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's effectively the silhouette of three people walking away, one of whom is clearly carrying somebody in their arms.
Yep.
So there's probably not a lot of flames. There's probably a bit of smoke rising out, but yes.
So anticlimactic.
But yeah.
Come on. There's a huge fire, roaring fire.
Okay. There's a
gout of fire just leaping out of the hole.
Inexplicable fire.
Yeah. The cave was made of sulfur, and it's just burning white hot.
It will never go out.
Yeah, I know.
Never now.
It's all magnesium. It's the weirdest cave ever. Just perfect. Yeah, I think we just head back to the camp and let everyone know the good news that they're probably gonna die.
You get back to the camp. It's clear that the flow from the cave has stopped, and you find that there are already travelers leaving the camp, walking away from it. But Tala is glad that you have managed to find the source of the corruption.
Sweet.
Celebrate with a hot meal.
No,
bread.
not in this place. Not in this fucking place.
The bread looks great.
Let's leave.
I'll have a snack. Oh, we're dead. Yeah.
And then we walk away, and the whole fort is burning behind us.
The whole forest catches. Oh, perfect. So is that the end of the one shot?
That is the end of the one shot.
The flaming silhouette of three guys walking away as the town just burns down somehow. Yeah.
And it's a great way also to prove that you can, in fact, survive a Symbaroum adventure without anyone dying.
That's true.
So, very good for us.
Although Walder tried really hard.
Yeah, he did.
Walder tried harder than anybody that's ever played this game to die.
So, you guys, if Chad, if you learned anything today with Symbaroum, light it on fire, man. I mean, you heard the creator of the game himself. Burn everything down, and then that's how you succeed at Symbaroum.
You know why?
Why is that?
For some inexplicable reason, I happened to notice that Uts has a boon, sort of an advantage called Fireforge.
Yeah. I saw
Yeah,
that.
so he kind of, I immediately began to think that he probably would like that kind of problem-solving tool. Yeah. So that was the main reason why he was.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Awesome. Well, Paul, thank you very much for running this, guys. Thank you very much for playing this. Let's go around and do our introductions, get your thoughts on this one-shot, and hear more about this amazing game and the Kickstarter that's currently going on. So we'll start with Mathias. So Mathias, who are you? Where can we find you? What did you think of this one-shot? And tell us about your Kickstarter.
Okay. I already forgotten the first question.
That's right. Everyone does. Who are you? Where can we find you?
Yeah.
What did you think?
I am Mathias Jonsson, one of the lead writers of Symbaroum and the main editor as well. I actually think this was a perfect introductory adventure, Paul, to Symbaroum, because it sort of contains all the interesting elements that set Symbaroum apart from our other more traditional fantasy games. So bravo, I would say.
Thank you.
Not that I should be a judge by any means. I mean, we all who play Symbaroum play our Symbaroum, but I love this one. Anyway, the Kickstarter, you can find it by searching Kickstarter for Yndaros, or you can look at the link, I believe, in this feed somewhere. Yeah.
Yep.
And it has 5 days left, or just a little bit less than 5 days left. So we're hoping to see a real nice sprint. And if all goes well, we will get all the 12 stretch goals down before the end. And that would be awesome.
Hell yeah.
So please check it out. If you have any more questions specifically about the Kickstarter, take them up in the commentary field. We are there to try to answer as fast as we can.
Fantastic. Let's jump over to Isak. So Isak, who are you? Where can we find you? And what did you think of this one shot?
Yeah, I'm Isak Ström. I write the blog Ordo Magica about my house rules and thoughts on Symbaroum. Also, if you post on the Symbaroum Facebook group or on Reddit, or if you ask questions on the Davokar Explorers League Discord, I will probably be first to answer.
It's true.
And I agree with Mathias. I think this was a perfect example of all the various ingredients that go into the strange soup that is Symbaroum.
It's true. It does cover a lot of the bases. That's for sure. Let's jump over to Greg. This is your first time venturing in Symbaroum. So who are you? Where can we find you? And what did you think?
Greg, Grimjack21502 on Twitch and Twitter. I love this. I love this entire setting and the game. Having an awful character doesn't ruin an experience for me. I'm sure my party members would like me to be effective. Unfortunately, I have to go with whatever's provided to me. But I think the group dynamic, the pacing of the story was fantastic. I loved every little element of it. Like these guys said, there's certain things that you're drawn to with this setting, and everything that I wanted to get drawn into. The funniest thing was I thought we were going to the forest, and we went into the tight, and I thought that was the best part about all of this, is it was completely unexpected. I had such a great time. Once again, you can find me, Grimjack21502, Twitch and Twitter. Very privileged to play with these guys. Had an awesome afternoon.
Fantastic. Thank you, Greg. So everyone has asked in chat between Paul and between Mathias, where can someone get that shirt? Everyone's asking. Everyone wants to know where that shirt is.
Okay, I should probably take this one. I think All Rolled Up has some for sale, Paul.
Oh, we do, yeah.
because we don't. We take them with us. We had them for sale at Gen Con last year, for instance, and at GothCon in Sweden this year. So at conventions, But other than that, you should probably look up the All Rolled Up web store to see if they have some left.
Okay, will do. And with that, we'll go over to, last but not least, Paul. So, Paul, who are you? Where can we find you? And what did you think about this one-shot?
What did I think? So, yeah, I'm Paul Wadowski. In the world of Symbaroum, you can find me at the Iron Pact. I'm probably a few paces behind Isaac when it comes to answering questions, but if he's asleep, I'll probably be there. So on Reddit or on Twitter, I'm the Iron Pact as well. On Reddit, and Google Plus, I'm Paul Wadowski. Well, to be honest, this was. You've effectively played the first adventure I created, having read the setting, and with no intention to insult the creators of the games in any way. I chose to do my own introduction. The Promised Land in the book is a fine adventure, but for some reason, the idea of the refugee camp and the approach to that sort of appealed to me, and it's what sort of hit me when I was going through the setting. The setting's very evocative, and I found it a useful way to get people on board with the sort of grim themes that are. It's not necessarily other opportunities are out there. You can go exploring through Davokar and be a treasure hunter. You can dive into politics, or do that sort of thing. For some reason, I was more attracted to the sort of grim and nasty and dirty and horrible side of things, but yeah, you can go all sorts of places with Symbaroum. So I thoroughly enjoyed running the game. I really truly appreciate all the efforts that Walder went to play the I don't think the character is bad, let's be clear, okay? It's your dice rolling that sucks, okay?
It's just
to suggest in any way that the character is responsible for this is ridiculous.
I can take it out on him today. I have to have a vote. It's like Walder is my boar. I'm just going to stab Walder until I'm done.
And while so anyone who knows that the actual characters of the Queen's Watch are available on the Iron Pact as well, so they are available as pre-generated characters that you can use for your own games if you want something a little different from just adventurers or whatever you come up with using the game.
Yeah. So
Indeed.
I had the pleasure of meeting Mathias at Gen Con 2017 last year, and that's where I learned about Symbaroum. I was like, this looks really cool. He gave me the sales pitch on the whole game, and then I bought everything he had on display, and then I immediately read the book, and then I found the Ordo Magica website, and I found the Iron Pact website, and then immediately read the entire website. So if you guys want to run Symbaroum, if you like Symbaroum and you don't know who Ordo Magica is, and you don't know who the Iron Pact is, go fix that. Give them a look online. Great website, great resources, great tips, tricks, etc. And go check out that Kickstarter. It's awesome, and it's
a few days left.
Yeah, just a few days left. So definitely go check that out and jump on there. The art is amazing. The game is amazing, and if you like grim dark fantasy, this is the game for you. And with that, guys, we're gonna get the heck out of here. So from all of us to you, bye bye.